alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.
All right, welcome to Alchemizing Energy. We have a really good show for you guys today, where we are going to be getting into the principles of IFA. We're going to be getting into the good, the bad, and maybe sometimes
And the ugly.
And the ugly of IFA. We are going to just be dispelling some myths. So, without further ado, I want to bring on to stage my guests that are here. We have Baba Yashabiyah and Ogun Baby, Baba Ogun Baby, and they are going to really get into Ifa and what is Ifa like, and then get into the good part of it and the bad part of it, and then to mainly just not be fooled, okay? Because there's a lot of foolishness going on in the Ifa tradition, and we're going to dispel a lot of myths, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty here. And we got some powerful. I think Baba, are you Obatala?
Who, me?
Yes.
Orumila.
Your head is your Orumila, and Ogun is Ogun priest. So and then me being Oya priest, but I'm still a baby. I'm only 2 years old.
We all babies.
Right, in the universe. Okay?
We all babies.
Right. So I'm going to now. How I normally do it is I like kind of remove myself and come up when I'm needed, but for the most part, I let my guest really kind of run the show. You know what I'm saying? Because I really want people to get the knowledge and get the understanding without so much interruption from me. Unless if I just see a quell or a lull or then you'll hear me come up. But for the most part, I like let the people that are the the experts do this.
I don't know about that.
So all right, let's go. All right. Principles
of I would like for us to tell people to get pencil and paper, take off their emotions, and let's go to class and study. And let's don't wait till we get through before you want to jump in with a lot of questions. Then we'll do a question and answer for them when we get through some of this foundations, because we got a lot to lay out here. And I want to thank my colleague Ogun Baby from the Ogun Metaphysical Temple there in Dallas, Texas. I operate the Metaphysical Temple here in Tallulah, Louisiana. So we operate from an esoteric metaphysical level. So we may be a little bit different. I also want to let people know I am an ascending master. It's Baba, but I was elevated spiritually to what they call an ascending master. Now, there is no certain initiation to get to be an ascending master. It's something that you, through the years of study, you acquire and you reach a certain level and a certain dimension. And I've been, through my roots reading, they declared and found out that I was one of the ancient ones, and I am an ascending master. If my sister would like to, she can pull up for the benefit of those that do not know what an ascending master is. I'd like you to let's clarify what I go with Baba, but I am an ascending master. So let them know what an ascending master, if you don't mind, give them the definition of what an ascending master. We're gonna use some definitions. What does it mean of an ascending master, Sister Monica? Would you read it for him, please?
All right. Ascended masters are spiritually enlightened beings in theosophical and related spiritual traditions, believed to achieve higher state of being after a series of spiritual transformations. They are often seen as teachers and guides for humanity, helping individuals on their path to enlightenment.
In my reading, it said I had been to the planet 13 times, and this is my 13th visit. So, and I some things that I say and do, people just seem to cannot cope with it. But I am an ascending master, and I think my brother had hit that same level as well, because of things we look at. We don't look at it like everybody look at it. So what I want to do now, first and foremost, the question is, what is IFA? I want to do what the what is, and we're going to do some historical foundation. You're going to be surprised. What is IFA? IFA is a binary, esoteric, metaphysical, mathematical algorithm of divination system that was used by our ancestors for many millennia. It is considered a master database of indigenous knowledge encompassing their divination system. As a binary system, IFA has been known in Africa under many variations, which all have their cultural applications that are based on local and ethnicity. IFA is a living tradition that can grow and thrive under many different ethnic groups and locations. Its ability to thrive is based on its universal ability to African diaspora as a connection point between the ancestral legacy and the African forefathers and mother. It is oftentimes continuing the legacy of generation to generation. IFA appeals to nature and spiritual support of our lives by establishing a variable and desirable path to grow and enlightenment. And I want that to be said too, because people have taken this out of context. They've taken it out of context. And what I want to do is, Sister Monica, there's a book called Ifaism, The Complete Work of Orumila. And Brother Baba Bang.
I don't have it, Bob. I don't have it right now. I don't have it right now.
Sister Monica, I sent you the open page on it. I so hope you had it, but the open page on it. So I want the other one I want to go to. It's called The Introduction. It's the other one, Sister. We haven't got that. Oh, there it is. There it is. And I want you to work with it, because my helpmate is gone to do a little what you call it, home health care. Would you please read the complete work of Orumila, Divinity of Wisdom? Would you please read the highlighted part?
IFA philosophy is one of the different forms of knowledge revealed.
One of the oldest.
Unfortunately, the revelations of Orumila since the beginning of time has been shrouded in utter secrecy, and those who could afford the time and leisure to acquire it had no means of leaving any records behind them. Whatever we know of IFA today has been handed down from generation to generation. A lot of what people know about IFA is also revealed, even to this day, by Orumila himself, because he constantly appears to his adherents in dreams to teach them what they ought to know about him and his works. Knowledge of IFA has mainly survived by oral tradition, from one IFA priest to another. No conscious effort has been made to record the complete works of Orumila for public consumption. Even the priests themselves are often reluctant to part with their knowledge, for fear that if the knowledge becomes public property, the mythical facade behind which they operate will be destroyed. This is not entirely their fault, because it takes at least 21 years of indentured servitude to produce a proficient IFA priest.
Okay, and if you notice it, but later on, they began to, our European brothers got nosy, and they want to go over and find out. So that was a guy by the name of William Bascom, and he went out and wrote a book and published a book. Now I'm going back with him since I think it's 1962. Now this is the book. If you can get a look, it says IFA, divination, communication between God and man in Western African civilization. It was this talk not about a bunch of folks getting together creating the Igbe. It was about how to elevate the individual to come in balance and harmony with your celestial side and terrestrial. Not about going out and building a bunch like building churches. It's IFA is a binary system that is designed to elevate and raise us from a celestial side to to terrestrial to bring the balance, because we left, and note this word, we left the Dianosphere coming to the world, and when we arrived here from the celestial to terrestrial, we had to find a way to keep the balance. A lot of people went out because we were in such of an identity. They grabbed a lot of things and ran around with it, put this on, put that. That is not IFA. IFA is not fortune telling. IFA is not spookism. IFA is not superstition. IFA is a communication system divined by the divine creator Olodumare, and the system that we can communicate with the Dianosphere. It was first Dianosphere, then it was the Biosphere, Technosphere, and now we're in a thing called Matrix, the last one they came up with. But the main thing is we got to be able to communicate between our Ori, which is celestial, and our heart, which is terrestrial. And the balance it's all about building you up as a character to fulfill your divine purpose and to be able to reach your assignment. In Ifa, when we left before we left the Dianosphere, according to Ifa, it says that we came before the Grand Council of the Orishas and Elders, and we asked to come here to help make the world a better place. In this assignment, we took all the tools we need to come to the world to do the job. But somewhere along the line, we got distracted. I want that to soak in. And in the process, we wind up getting out there, getting intellectually drunk, and we come up with a whole lot of stuff that is not Ifa, as we read earlier. So I want to go back now, and I want to dispel one of the things that the Yoruba people, though we give much respect and honor to them, they are not the originators of Ifa in the terrestrial world. I want that to go in, even though we give them a lot of credit, but they are not the original owners of the Odus or the process. Now, if you notice, if this white guy went in there and created a book, and the book was first written, because before it was not allowed to be written. William Bascom, in the year under the Indiana Press, he went in, and that was in 1969, and created a book for the communication between man and God. And these are some of the things that he wrote in his book about the various Odus and where he got his information from. There was another guy came along. I'm giving a little history behind him. These are white people. There was no really brother doing any writing at first. Here's another guy. His name he's called Sacred Ifa Oracles, Ped J, and the guy's name is Philip Newmark. Philip Newmark is down in Florida. He's the one that initiated Anna Van Zandt. Okay, and so why am I saying it? Because many of the brothers who came out.
So it was a white guy who initiated Ayana Van Zandt?
Yes, his name is Philip Newmark. He's the one that initiated her down in Florida in the Grove. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
So wait, was she already did she go straight to be a Ifa, or did he initiate her first into Orisha and then she went into
I don't know the process. All I know that she was one of the ones that he initiated once he set up back in the day down in Florida. And see, a lot of folks didn't know that that she was a priestess that had went through that particular system under Philip Newmark. She's in a book called Jambalaya. That was written. Her name is in it. And see, so we got a lot of people, even in the entertainment world, that have been initiated into the religion. I didn't say spirituality. I said the religion, because IFA is a science. It is a binary mathematical science that's used to communicate. So a lot of these things we're doing for these initiations to get these different levels, this is something they tapped on. That is culture. That is not IFA. IFA is a binary system. IFA, and we got that video we'll get around to. IFA is designed for you to learn how to communicate with the celestial world you come from, and while you're in this terrestrial world, we're celestial beings in a terrestrial world, having a celestial experience in a terrestrial world, and that's where the imbalance come in. And we were trying to find a ways how to reconnect to our ancient past, which is not our ancient past. We're talking about in the celestial realm, and we miss it because in a quest for identity, we took on a whole lot of different jackets and stuff. Everybody claimed to be it, but I have the document to go back and show you that the word IFA, there was a group of people called IFA. There's a group called the North. I think I sent you a copy of that. Because we got to, history is the best reward for those for their research. So let's go to the history and show people, because even IFA is older than Egyptology. Here we go. You can put it up. Go back up. I got it highlighted. IFA civilization. You see it says IFA civilization. Would you please read that? Now this comes from the University of IFA of IFA knowledge. Will you read?
All right, IFA is important. Okay, IFA.
The word was called IFA. We call it IFA. We call it IFA. Go ahead.
IFA is important because it's terracotta and bronze heads. Objects such as stools and figures were carved on hard stones called quartz. White animal figure and human figure were carved from granite and decorated with iron nails. An example is Opa Oramayan in Ile Ife. Most of the bronze and terracotta heads were said to be a life-size, decorated with facial marks, natural hair. Some of the bronze heads were said to be portraits of some of the rulers. Uni. Art historians believe that Ife art originated from the Nok civilization because of the similarities to the two, especially beaded neck, wrists, and ankles. They also believe that it was from the Ife that Benin probably learned bronze sculpture.
And the North people lived 43,000 years ago. Now I can go back 200.
I'm sorry. Is it Jasmine? Did you mean to come up here?
Yes. Ivan sent me the link.
Okay.
Well, I like them to hold on until we get to lay the foundation. So the North people goes back 43,000 years ago. There was nobody called Yoruba 43,000 years ago. You know, and we'll get into the journey of Oremia, the last son of Oduduwa. That goes into this. A lot of folks don't know that the North civilization, they call it the Bronze Age, like they go back 43,000 years. Egypt was probably around 10,000. But here's a people that goes back beyond that, and I could go back into the big number. I'm gonna play around kindergarten cosmology, 200,000 years. There's another group that was practicing this same science called the Sand People. They go back 150 to 200,000 years. This science has permeated a whole lot of other cultures. So no one can claim to be it unless you go back 200,000 years. A lot of people never heard of the North. Nobody never know there was such a thing as an IFA. civilization, you know. And that's where to look at how did all this came to be, and what and why it took on so much antidote and so much weight that almost people don't even want to do it because he's got so many do's and don'ts. That is not what IFA is. That's culture and ethnicity, what you can and cannot do. You can't eat this, you can't do that. IFA is strictly,
I'll put them back. Let me deal with
strictly a communication device for you to be able to communicate with your celestial self and your terrestrial. Every so-called religion has a divination system that they use. IFA is not tarot card. It ain't fortune telling. It ain't none of that stuff. You know, and a lot of folks will take IFA and make it into a weapon. I'm around to do it so I can kill a chicken and I can control your life and you can do all this. That is not what IFA is about. IFA is about building you up your character that you can fulfill and complete your journey. It's all about you. Self-individual independence, void of all the hanger, because you came with a single purpose and only you can fulfill that purpose. And IFA helps keeps you on track. I want that to settle in. Okay, do you want to add anything to that before I proceed on?
No, Baba, you're doing an excellent job.
So, and what we got caught up in as time went along, sister, a lot of brothers begin to find out the ability to make money and take people who don't know nothing and tell them a whole lot of unnecessary stuff based on their line when it came in. If you know, I asked you earlier, and I love it. I said, well, when did IFA come to this particular diaspora? You said, well, in New York, so and so, so and so. Well, when it came to the Dallas area, it came from Ajifumi II, when he came back from being anointed king over in our Bill Kuta. But now William Bascom got his thing out of Oremo. So he was initiating a whole nother part of the country. So he got things a little different. And most everybody came up had a different place they got initiated. Some got initiated in IBO Kuta, and quite as you're gonna get that. Some got initiated over in Cameroon. Some got initiated over in Igbo and so forth. So as the priest would teach them certain things, but the nuts and bolts of the algorithm and the binary code comes from IFA. Other day I had you look at a thing, it's called African fractal. Do you remember that? African fractal.
Yes, yes.
Can you pull that up also? Because there's another part of this thing. And what happened when I say that, because that was a guy who got a Fulbright scholarship to go over there to learn this system. This system, the IFA, that's the one that the world runs on there, that runs the world's computers. Been doing it since the military got hold to it. On the O's and ones, it runs the computers of the world. And the guy tells you that in the video. We'll get to that. He says this is what runs. So IFA system would run our computer. What we right now we got going, it came out of IFA. Pull up African fractal. Most people probably never heard of it. Can I take my time? Permission to take my time. My beloved sister, because you say you're the host.
I'm trying to find the one African fractals, the one. Okay.
Yeah. Don't you have a copy of the video of my video I did 2.5 billion years? So I did a video years ago, 2.5 billion years of IFA history. Man, what? Because you can't even fathom. There we go. Play a little bit of that.
Named George Cantor. And Cantor decided he was going to take a line and erase the middle third of the line, and then take those two resulting lines and bring them back into the same process, a recursive process. So he starts out with one line, and then two, and then four, and then 16, and so on. And if he does this an infinite number of times, which you can do in mathematics, he ends up with an infinite number of lines, each of which has an infinite number of points.
Monica.
So he realized he had a set whose number of elements.
If you don't mind, I want to show you something. That's Chinese I Ching, people. That's how the Chinese I Ching look, which came out of IFA. Proceed. Go ahead.
Of lines, each of which has an infinite number of points in it. So he realized he had a set whose number of elements was larger than infinity. And this blew his mind, literally. He checked in the sanitarium. And when he came out of the sanitarium, he was convinced that he had been put on Earth and found transfinite set theory because the largest set of infinity would be God himself. He was a very religious man. He's a mathematician on a mission. And other mathematicians did the same sort of thing. Swedish mathematician von Koch decided that instead of subtracting lines, he would add them. And so he came up with this beautiful curve. And there's no particular reason why we have to start with this seed shape. We can use any seed shape we like. And I'll rearrange this, and I'll stick this somewhere down there. Okay. And now upon iteration, that seed shape sort of unfolds into a very different looking structure. These all have the property of self-similarity. The part looks like the whole. Same pattern at many different scales. Now, mathematicians thought this was very strange because as you shrink a ruler down, you measure a longer and longer length. And since they went through the iterations an infinite number of times, as the ruler shrinks down to infinity, the length goes to infinity.
What we want to follow.
This made no sense at all. So they consign these curves to the back of the math books. They said these are pathological curves.
Slide on a little bit, and I'll tell you where to stop. When it gets to the initiation, keep on. Yeah, right. Keep going. Right, a little bit further. Right there. Go back. Go back. Right there. Lock it in. And bring
it was
in
actually not in geometry. It was in a symbolic code. And this was Bamana sand divination. And the same divination system is found all over Africa. You can find
y'all recognize the marking in the right corner. Sister, you see them when you say it's binary code, because and you see that right there in the corner, 1 2 1 2. What Odu is that?
O'Shea.
Okay, come on, people, right there. When you get to doing all them line turning, this is what he wound up with. And they only gave him one hand, and they were able to create a mathematical that created the computer that we run today based off of this work. And the man goes on to say that he got a Fulbright grant or a scholarship to go over there and study our math because there was nothing like it. As we read, IFA is the oldest philosophy that known to mankind. So they don't know little Johnny come later, even though it's been abused and misused, because our people lacked the understanding, overstanding of what they were doing, because they had a very powerful tool in their hand that could predict the past, the present, and the future, because it's your roadmap from where you came from to where you're going.
I go.
You may, Baba.
Baba, could you elaborate on why is it the people in Benin feel, well, I'm not going to say the people in Benin, I would say most people feel as though the people from Benin, the Yoruba people, are the originators of IFA. Because the fact of it, when you go back and look at the story, how it came to be, in the IFA universal principle of knowledge, it tells you that the when they left out of the area, matter of fact, let's do this. There's and people don't realize there's a place, because when the French and British went into West Africa, there was a place called Niger. I say nigger, they say Niger. Islam was the largest there. So when they divided the land, like the British said, we're gonna call our part Nigeria. The French, we're gonna call our part Niger. Okay, pull up that Sister Monica, so people don't think I'm lying. Pull it up. It is the largest piece of land over there. But we don't use the word nigger and all that. But there's a place where you just went. When you pull up that map, Niger, and it's landlocked. The French had Niger, and the British had named theirs Nigeria. So
And this was the North people was in thing they called Niger. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Niger, right? Now, I'm going to go something with this, and I wasn't going to go there this quick, but since there, do you not know, to the Christian people, Jesus did not carry his cross according to the Bible narrative. It was a young man from Niger, a nigger, carried the cross for Jesus. He was a diviner. What? Yeah. According to the Bible, there was a man named Simon of Syria, from Niger, was the one that carried the cross. How is this significant? If you go to Acts, the 13th chapter, when you go to Acts 13th chapter, verse 1, and you're going to see this word. And these were the priest out of Antioch. Right there it is. Introduce the, yeah, right there. Simon, his name was Simon of Syria. He's the one that carried the cross for Jesus. So, get this once you get away where they can look at it. Now that was in the church, and then what's the thing as church back then? It actually was a synagogue that was at Antioch. Certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas, Simon, they called Niger, and Lorenius, and which had been brought up with Herod the Taurus. This man was the one that carried the cross for Jesus in the story. And they was from where? Niger. That's a land. That's a place. This guy was a diviner. That's when they want to find out what to do about the robe of Jesus. He said, well, you just cast lots. They cast lots. Not only that, it was those men that first called the so-called white man or the man from Crete. We named them Christians. Acts 11:27, and they were first called Christians at Antioch. Who the hell you think named them that? It was the prophets and teachers out of Niger that named these folks from the land of Crete, who they said was called Cretan, that was slow-bed and evil people. We named them. I had to name them that. It's not looking to be glorified. No, Jesus was not. He was already gone. Am I going too fast? I guess I am, because I'm getting a strange look out there. But see how, so here we got all these connections. So you got a presence. What? Yeah. In your book, I showed you that there's a place that exists to this day called Niger. We call it, I call it nigger, N-I-G-E-R. You call it Niger. Then with like however you want to name it. Apples, oranges, potatoes, tomatoes, them make no difference. But the land is there. Now, my brother asked, well, see, it was that when the people who migrated from sub-Sahara at that time, and it was not called Yorubas, was migrating across the country, they encountered a group called the Phoenicians. And matter of fact, I've got one of the brothers, I just had him a while ago, he said, I'd rather be called IFA than be called Yoruba. Wait a minute. We're not attacking, we're just bringing some stuff to the forefront. This is no attack, this is fact.
And I wanted to show earlier, we talked about those carved stones that were carved out of different things. This is an example of those carved stones with the
yeah. We're gonna work this. We're gonna work this. Who are the Yorubas and where did they come from? And this brother here said that he would rather be called Ifa. He says the Yorubas are a descendant of so-called Ham, who was the son of Noah. They are a direct answer of Cush, the son. I'm trying to get to that part. He said he would, because the name may be what he said was maybe derogatory. He chooses to use the word Ifa as the name rather than Yoruba. What did he say? Yeah, he said this group of different kind of states with common ancestors was collectively known as Yoruba. And the fact of the matter, the word is Yoruba has no meaning in our language, or any other language that I know of, no one has been able to tell us the meaning of the word. Yoruba indeed was from where it came from. It's really is very strange and indeed deep and unsettling for our ancestors. The word might be an insult. That is why I choose to be called IFA rather than Yoruba.
I go.
You go.
Okay, so the people out of Niger is originally where Ifa,
Come from.
well, the North people are the ones that originally started the whole.
And that's where they is.
Okay,
In
they're
that
in.
part. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is, why is it, I guess, that over here it is a number of people seem to believe that the Yoruba people have started the culture of Orishas and Ifa.
Because that's who a lot of us ran into and met and quite natural. If ain't nobody there to tell me I'm lying, I claim to be the man that whipped the lion's ass last week.
I see.
It depends on who's telling the story.
I
And
see.
want
Indeed,
credit.
indeed,
You
indeed,
know,
indeed,
you
Baba.
ain't talk to the
Indeed,
lion though, did you?
indeed, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? You know, now with the lion, but you ain't talk to the lion, right? That's
Indeed,
my story.
indeed.
And
I
that's
got
the danger because a lot of the people came on the scene, and us being like little Chi because we was trying to find our identity back during that time. We knew everything from colored folks, Negroes, Afro Americans, you name it. Because we was trying to get a place to establish a root so that we were prevalent in society. When we didn't need to, all we do is just look at the fact that we are the oldest, and I say we, the indigenous. We're we're the most indigenous people on the planet. But what does Ifa teach? Ifa teaches that when we left the Dianosphere, that each Orisha brought 200 devotees with them, and they landed all over the planet. That's an Ifa
that's in Ifa. Yes.
That means most times you ask them, who is your Orisha over your family, your household? Well, you know, Ogun or Oya, Shango. And Shango was a live individual. He had 5 wives. 3 of them was Oba, or what is Oshun, what was Oshun, and whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was deified by the people they call the Shango people. Then you got a thing called the Shango bone, which was around 25,000 BC, which is still older than Egypt. I don't know why in the hell if we stop in Egypt when we got so much more history that is more valid and documented than Egypt.
Indeed.
Because our scholars taught us that Egypt was the cradle of knowledge. Bullshit. But we're too lazy to read, research, and review, so we take it at face value. I believe to believe anything is to believe something without absolute proof. Where is your documentation? I'm bringing documents, and I'm not through yet. And so in that art, we get a lot of confusion because everybody's putting stuff in the pot. So now we got a stew instead of a salad. And then the stew, the strongest thing in there is gonna be them damn potatoes, because everything else gonna fade. But you know, because everything have laws. But when you talk to people, well, I don't do that, because it depends where the scholar came from and how much it means to him to get that credit, because they found out because we didn't know nothing. We were food for the beast, a game for the con artists. This is no attack. So what I do, well, man, oh, you get that, you got to bring me 35,000. You got to bring me 6. You know, you get Ota to get this Isheshe. We didn't know about no Isheshe back in the 70s and 80s, man. They were knowing about getting initiative to know Goon. I'm telling you, I'm talking about what's in Dallas. And then when Chief Ayomi came back, he came back in a lock bar. So that in order to get in, you had to have a lock bar, which means Undertaker, to initiate you into a goon. But according to Sister Monica, can you put up the 16 truths of Ifa? Can you put them and post them up so we can see? because this is the fundamental foundation that IFA operates on. And the sad thing is, a lot of people get into IFA with the wrong intent. I'm gonna get in so I can control somebody. I can put a spell on somebody. That is not IFA. You want to practice Badu, then you go to Beni. IFA ain't got nothing to do with that. Now you can use the system to ask questions. Well, you know, I don't like this. So I'm gonna put about 4 dozen black cats, 37 roaches, 3,000 hen eggs. So you know, I'm gonna piss in the soup so I can control it. That is not IFA.
Oh,
there is, look in. There is a benevolent universe. Oh, okay. No. Slow it down. 16. That the 16 go back. 16.
That's 16. That's the 16.
Yeah. It says the rule who created the well-balanced earth cannot be broken. Just keep going. And then it tells you there is no devil. You know, so if anybody got to die and save you, you know. Those are the principal things of IFA. And they broke down and says, it is, go back up. Because you say, it is your birthright to be joyful having this. In this sacred Odu, IFA, E.G. Ugbe says, he who, you know, and that's how it's broke down. It says, and you cannot bring harm to anyone of the earth which you are part of. Where's that at? That's in there. Heavenly people, yeah, you know. So people are operating under wrong pretenses about what IFA is. You are part of it, yeah. This Odu is whatever you read there, may draw, and they tell that the ancestors live in us, as well as the Orishas. Well, you know, I got to go out and get me 37 rams, 14 guinea hens, 37 tails, a couple of catfish. Or I got to get a snake because I got to do this, that, and other. A lot of that stuff, a big snake.
So I'm reading them off. Okay, so 9, supremacy is evil. Okay, character determines outcome. You are a part of the universe in literal, not a figurative way.
Go through it.
You must never initiate harm to another human being.
So
you must never harm.
That was the thing, is human sacrifice when it comes to IFA. They've been lying. Well, you know what they got? But that's in war. That's when you're at war. Ain't got nothing to do with your connection. Keep going. Watch.
You must never harm the universe in which you are a part. There can be no discrimination. Diversity is a hallmark of Olodumare's God creation. You select your destiny and guardian Orisha.
Stop right there. When you is in the Dianosphere, according to the IFA complete book of Arumla, and everybody, you need to get that. He's written by our brother. He tells you that when you was at the Great Council of Elders and the Orishas, you chose to come here. And you came here to make the world a better place. What does it say, sister?
It says divination provides the roadmap to your destiny.
Right. So in order to know where you're going, in every society of so-called religion, they have a divination system. They have a divination system. And I'll get to that in a minute.
It says, IFA says, whenever you wake up, we should be teaching each other wisdom. We should not wake at the crack of dawn and lay a foundation of foolishness. Whatever we deliberate upon, that cannot be resolved, there needs to be a consult. I can IFA.
16 says what?
Balance and growth and wisdom are your goals.
Shane.
And the main thing is that, some people do this in different order. Yeah, this is the benevolent universe. You need to have no fear. Some people end it with, we need to have no fear.
Right. But
there's a single creative force, Olodumare. There is no devil in hell. It's your birthright to be joyful, successful, and love. Heaven is home and earth is the marketplace. We are in constant passage between the two, heaven and earth.
That's what definition come in at. And
you are a part of the universe in a literal and not a figurative way. So that means that we are all a part of the universe. Character determines outcome.
What? Character. Say that again. What? Character.
Character determines outcome. And Odu Ifa Orosun Gunda says a dog is beautiful with its teeth. Ram is beautiful with its mane. Dog does not have a mane. Let one go home to fetch a ram for sacrifice to one's Egungun. Ifa's declaration to Ori Inu character, also Ori Ode destiny. Ori Unu, my character, please have mercy. Do not destroy Ori Ode, my destiny. So let your character not destroy your destiny.
And a lot of folks allow their character to dictate, or they moral dictate their character, and that's why they run into problems. From the University of Ifa knowledge, and it talks about the historical structure of the various religions, original African history. The first one that came out of it was Yuan theorem. Ridge Vigda from 8,000 to 9,000 years ago. Achin Asia 5,300 years ago. Geomancy Europe 900 years ago. Haitian Badoon 800 years ago. Ifa is older than all of that. Yet we want to demonize it and all that because they do not understand what it is. It's a binary communication system. It starts with the olden things. Those 256 Odus, those 16 majors is what the computer system is made from that we use on an everyday life. If Ifa is able to shut your damn computer down, quit playing with your phone and throw it away. and a lot of Bible that was writing and putting their interpretation out there, and you pick up one of these books like no more, and you throw an old dude and you use another man's idea of what that old dude means instead of asking that old dude what it means. He'll talk to you.
It says, okay, all right. So supremacy is evil. Why? On this Odu Ifa Obafa Ofun says, Obara Ofun says, the farmhouse with a thatched roof, a big snake prostrates and crawls about on his chest. Ifa's declaration to the three Babalao, also to the six advisors, when they are fighting for superiority in Ife land, they were advised to offer a bow. Only the Babalaos complied. Now, who is superior? Ifa is superior.
Yeah, you know. So, and these are things like a
and that might be hard to understand what's being said here. So the bottom line is
that thing that they call the apothekeys, brother Egun Bayman, and you're good at that because you write books on it. Explain to them what the apothekeys is. What to say is not apotheke. We got proverbs thing, but let them know these are just metaphors and allegories to give you a way to look into the deeper things. They are not literal, you know.
Yes, they are not literal. So basically, you know, when you were a child, I'm pretty much sure that you've had your parents or your grandparents most likely may have told you, look here, don't go outside after dark. They got a little man that's going to be around the corner. He might jump out and get you. So as a child, you begin to think that that is true, and you pass that on to your children. Now, as you get older, you realize that it wasn't true. But some folks, they don't break out of that. They stay in what some people call the limbic brain, and they attach that to emotion. And depending on if they were frightened, it's really embedded in their subconscious. So they really think that that is real, and there's nothing you can do to pry that particular thinking away from them. They have to do that themselves. But they would pass that on to their kids, and their kids would think that that is a literal story to where it keeps going on, that it becomes fact with people, with no one never doing an investigation to see if it's real or not. Apart from that, stories and allegories are meant for you to have a spiritual awakening or to set a foundation in you to stand on a spiritual principle to develop your character. And that's what really the stories in the Patekis are about, to show you the do's and to show you the don'ts and to show you what the benefits are if you walk the balanced path.
And see, but that's why we need teaching bad. Because we got a lot of folks out here that are profiting off of our ignorance. It's not bad. I mean, ignorance, the lack of knowledge. And you know what it said? Education before initiation. You
It's an
know,
abomination.
yeah. You know, if you get
Right.
initiated
No,
before get educated, that's because you have to like. So I don't know what I got, what I'm doing. Well, what if I go through this? What am I supposed to achieve when I go to school and graduate? I'm looking for a damn diploma. You understand? But I go to school and graduate, I don't get nothing. Well, what happened to all my money? You know, and
right.
then you know.
That's the reason for the secrecy.
Yeah, and I read that you go and actually you supposed to each time you get it's supposed to give you another level of knowledge, esoteric knowledge, how to divine, how to interpret these Apache keys of these proverbs, but they don't. They leave you coming back, you know, keep you coming back, you know, keep you coming back. And every time you come back, 400, 500,000, 1,600, 25,000, 10,000. But you got to make.
But
There was nothing in there about how to make a Orisha.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this though. One thing that you do if you actually pay attention, like what Babalaos do, is they give you certain thing comes out. The thing is that people, when they get a reading, they're not paying attention, right?
Right.
And over time, when I was getting my readings and doing my thing, I began to pay attention and say, well, dang, I'm being taught, you're getting taught while you're doing the actual when you're doing the actual the reading. Because what's happening is you're seeing everything that the Babalawo is doing. He might be speaking a different language. Something comes up, and then he says, okay, this is what's wrong. Go and do this, that, the other. Then he give you instructions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go and take this and take it to the water. Now, if you actually put that into your memory bank, then you would know that, okay, if this is what's wrong with me today, then I could take this offering and go to the water with it. But a lot of people, they're not paying attention to the reading because they're just being led by the Babalawo or the Orisha. They're not paying attention to the Ebo. And so what happens is, they'll say that if I know that I could take like some fruit and give it to Oshun, right? When I'm going through a certain calamity in my life. Then do I need a reading after that? When I know I'm experiencing a certain thing, I just take some stuff to the water. I don't need a reading at that point, you know?
I go.
Let
I go.
let me ask this question.
I go.
Okay, go ahead.
I go.
Go ahead.
I go.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute, Bob.
Go
Don't
ahead.
do it, Bob. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So this is where me and you talked about. There are people that operate in faith, and there are people that operate in intellect, and there are people that operate in faith and intellect together.
Oh.
The sister is one that operate in faith. So let that be what that is. She gets her benefits from that. If you come along and you show her a higher level and she's not ready for that, you may do more damage than good.
Well, I would say go ahead and let's talk about a higher level.
Go ahead, tell her.
Go ahead.
Tell her. She bought it on herself. Go ahead on, get her, man.
Well, see, the thing about an IFA, remember, the Orishas already live in you. We know this. Everywhere you go, you carry them with you. You can call upon this, even your ancestors. We are mobile. We do a lot of things as a memorial, but the real thing is that we are the living epitaph or epistle of our ancestors and the Orishas, because what Ifa say, for the Orishas live in us. So when you came in the world with an Orisha. That's why the month and date you come in determines who's operating in your energy field, who's governing and guiding you. No attack, just facts. That's why I tell people, if you're operating on the wrong astronomical sign or zodiac, you are missing a step. You're not operating because you're operating on another man's concepts of astrology and days of the week and time. That is not us. That's why it was so important. Like I've told them about that when the God of so-called Israel was bringing them out of Egypt, he gave them their own calendar and timeline. Now, when the Negro came out of slavery, what timeline and calendar did he get? Because they got to start over. He said, and this is the beginning of your months. You do this as a memorial. You do this. But when our people came out of that psychological bondage thing, a thing called slavery, we were not put on a psychological cot and psychoanalyzed. We came out running like excuse me, cats.
I go.
You go.
But no, Baba. I was thinking that you were going to elaborate.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Because there are people out there that are still babies, and we're not here to harm or wound. We're here to try to help in life. I'm trying to make sense.
I would say this. Okay, so there's two ways to understand that. So now I do understand that their wishes live within me, and I know how to take baths and do certain stuff and meditate and work with myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily do the same things that I did before. You know, when I was a so-called a Leo and I was just going to get readings, you know, they would give you a task. Okay, well, this is what came out. This is the ebo that you need to do. This is the task you need to do to clear the energy up, right? Mm-hmm. Now, this is for a person that's not in tune with themselves and understanding that their reach should live within them and know that, you know what I'm saying? And then the more that you get to start practicing certain things, you realize, oh, okay, all this stuff is really just something to do to get you to focus your energy on a particular thing to change that energy up. It's basically normally if you take a bird's eye view of a person, mm-hmm. right, you will find out, and you actually track where they're going. They have this thing called Google where it could like tell you from your cell phone what your pattern is, right? And you'll find that people, what they do is they get up, they wash their behind, they go out the door, they go around the corner, they come back, and it's probably a perfect square every single day that they do every day, right? And so what I did was say, okay, yeah, you're in that same energy every day. You do the same thing every single day. So what that ebo is like, oh, okay, go and do something that you probably wouldn't normally do. Go to the river and throw a watermelon into the ocean or something. Okay, that's gonna take you off your path. Now instead of getting up, washing your behind, going around the corner, go to the corner store and come back. Well, now let me get up and go to the river, and that's gonna throw your pattern off because you normally wouldn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these things are really to throw off your ritual that you do every single day, and to take you outside of that. And then it's almost like a placebo effect that happens when you do these things, and you start to feel like, oh, you know, so. So a lot of these things are placebo.
Yeah, and a lot of those things. Now,
it's like a doctor giving you a sugar pill and saying, "Listen, if you take this, you're gonna feel better. So you're gonna feel better." Sometimes they might give you some real herbs, but for the most part, you know, they're gonna give you something that's going to psychologically make you think, "Okay, things feel better now that I've done this."
I go. That's why a lot of time when you go and do these things, it's an act of obedience. The key thing is that if you believe it hard enough and do it, you'll get results. But the fact of it is in you because you believe it. And because you believe it, your act, there's a thing called a permissive will and a divine will. And because you were willing to do it, the universe honor your obedience. You know, like we often talk about the imagination, you know, that imagination, how it comes to play. You understand?
Right. Well, there's some people that are joining. I'm not sure how they got the link.
You
sent the StreamYard link. You probably send the YouTube link.
Yeah. So
these are people I know that have questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. I was like, okay, good.
You know, so but let me get back to the task at hand. So when we rely on certain Bible laws, that's like one thing. Like everybody got one King James Bible, but you got 17 different religions. It depends on who wrote it, interpreted, and translated as what you get. So I brought you up a while ago, William Bascom. I brought you up Philip Newmar. Here's another book written by Ron Nepper called The Metal Netter. Some of y'all familiar with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know that IFA is in the Metal Netter? It says on the metal tube, it says Oda Damare, which means the divine creator. In Kemet is Amanut, and Canaan is Ein Sophie El, Kabbalah Ein Sophie. Europe was older than Maori, and that's so all you know. We got why can I get this thing alive? Move that out the way. What they doing there? What they doing there? This is from the thing called Metal Netter. Okay, you got a lot of them believe in that. And I'm gonna get to some more stuff. Hold on, I got a couple of more. And it
And
depends.
I want to play something too while you're going to get your book. I'm gonna play this by brother Oba. I know you said you like this brother, so I want to play while
Yeah, man. Okay.
because I did the interview with him, and he is an actual Oba Oriente in the Lukumi religion. So, and that's the Lukumi, that's the Orisha tradition that came with the actual Cubans. And what he's saying is that the Cubans were the ones that Lukumi came from, had its own group of people that were not the Yoruba, and he talked about the same thing that you're talking about. He said that Isheshe didn't exist until the 1950s. So let's go.
And this was all consolidated by one man by the name of Oba Ademeji. And Oba Ademeji is known as the first Oriente of Cuba. And what that means is he consolidated a bunch of functions within the ritual and became proficient in them. And then he made just one job. And so the Oba is the king, or Riate, the head of the mat, because the Estera is very sacred to us in our tradition.
What is the difference between a Babalawo and an Oriate? And is there a hierarchy? Is one above the other? Are they equal? What is the standing in that?
Well, IFA is a fraternity. Olumila is one of many 401 Irumales that has a function. Its function is specifically for divination. So, because the Dilagoon is an antiquated system, meaning it's counted. It's you throw the shells and you count the amount of shells that are face up. The Ikin, the palm nuts, are they don't have sides, they're round. And so you can't drop them and count them. So they created a binary system, right? And for that reason, the Dilagoon system has what we call a shadow. There is a moment when the Orishas can turn their backs on. And when that happens, we are forced to use IFA because it doesn't have any blank spaces in its perspective. So everything that you throw, there is a conversation to. Whereas in Dilagoon, when they throw and all the shells are face down, it is an indication that none of the Orisha are in the sacred grove and they're not answering questions. And this is when IFA becomes effective to the Orishas. Is the hierarchy that the Babalawo is somehow higher than the Oriate? Not necessarily, because he is a part of a fraternity that everybody else doesn't enter. So he has his authority or his hierarchy within that cult, within that fraternity. But to call themselves higher priests above the Orishas, no, that's absurd.
So even the Olarisha, so he's not above the Oriate or the Olarisha or the Oba. He it's a separate fraternity. So a Babalawo is its own fraternity, and it's where that people go when that divination method, has turned its back on that reader that's reading.
Well, no, it's not the fact that the system turned its back on it. That each set of cowrie shells has been consecrated to a specific Orisha. When you're throwing those specific cowrie shells and you get what we call a shadow, that means that Orisha is not answering questions. They've turned their back on you. Because the Orishas could be capricious, they are not God. Now Orumila, because of his circumstances, becomes he has no dog in that race, so he's impartial to it. So what happens is he becomes the diviner that has no blank, that has no he can see 360, and you have to understand historically that cult was introduced into Yoruba land by way of the Alafin of Oyo, and it took many generations for them to even get grasp to it because the Yorubas were not into worshiping palm nuts. And then what happened is that the palm oil production became very viable, and then palm nuts became a commodity or a means of currency. And so that currency usurped the currency of a cowrie shell, which was the original currency of not just West Africa, the old entire ancient world at one time.
So you know what? I might have to back us up because there's people. All right, so I wanted to show that part. So, any statements on that?
I go.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Young lady, You told me that you had Oya over your head. Can you
Yeah.
tell me? Can you tell me what day you were born?
June 20th,
No, 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 no. What day was it?
1977.
What day was it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I think it was on a Monday.
You believe you're not really sure? I would really like to know what day you were born, because you don't exhibit, you exhibit the hunger for knowledge of Oya. That's one thing that Oya people do. They're hungry for knowledge. They will seek it out by any means also. And
It was
you
a Monday. It was a Monday. Monday, June 20th, 1970.
Monday, elect by day, SU day.
Mhm.
You're a person that really believe in reciprocity. You believe that you're supposed to get something for whatever you do, and that's a good attitude. You also are a person that have spiritual insight, but you want to make sure that you can stand on it. So you you that's why you do so much research. That's one of the reasons why you have your show. You want to know, but you want to know of a surety so you can stand and have a foundation. That's pretty good. I wanted to tell you that you are balanced when it comes down to the fact of understanding what certain ebos are. When you said that you realize it's to take you out of your pattern, it has nothing to do with offering it to a quote deity or some entity or something flying around. You realize that it's something to break your pattern of thinking, and that is where I seek to take the people that I know to understand that, hey man, this is all about you. This don't
Mhm.
have anything to do. The things that are flying around, they're flying around in here. This is what they're flying around at in your head. But other than that, there's nothing outside of you that's flying around. I don't. The people that I deal with, that's what my goal is to teach them to deal with themselves.
Handle
Yeah.
And
work.
I like the way you explain how to get out of patterns, because the Bible will give you something that seems utterly ridiculous to do. But some people actually, like the story I said once before, they're in their limbic brain area. They believe these things to be literally true. And for anybody to take that away from them, that shatters their foundation, that shatters their way of thinking, that knocks them really off balance. And that peels them away, like a pimp say, peel them away from the knowledge, or peel them away from the individual that actually was helping them balance out their life. And that's not something that I'm about. And that is not something that Baba about either. Baba is about making sure you know your facts and making sure you understand what you're in. So if it sounds like he's chewing you up and spitting you out when it comes down to what you think is true, it's just because he's using facts, not truth, because truth is something that constantly evolves and constantly changes, just like facts evolve
Mhm.
and change. So we don't uh, defecate on anybody that
Right.
thinks that certain things are flying around. This is where we are. This is the diaspora that we're in. This is what we're teaching. So if what we're saying offends you, feel free to dial off. To go, find what you're looking
Well,
for.
and it makes you search out what you got to believe in, because if it's being challenged and you can't really defend it, then it bears questioning. The thing about, say, if what you got is not exalting you, moving you forward, it becomes a liability. Then it's not good. But everything has to be an asset to your growth, to achieve your purpose and destiny that you're lined up with. That's why it says that IFA is constantly evolving as time go along. It's a sad thing about it. We got folks believing in the Bible 2,000 years ago, trying to operate it in this time, and it won't fit. A lot of things done changed. And like Bible, like he was saying, IFA is a living system that operates on a daily basis. And
I should.
what we might have done years ago, those are training wheels. It comes a time that you pull the training wheels off, you're balanced, and you move forward at a higher speed, a higher rate. This is what we try to get you to look into the celestial realm of your celestial realm, and then move forward to the terrestrial, because We're all living in a world of illusions, it says. In order to get a firm foundation, you got to have something that you can look into that is consistent. Well, I tell y'all a while ago, that's why I've got all these different Bible laws and their so-called books they divine from. That's why I started out with Bascom, Philip Newmar. I got this other brother I brought up a while ago. Have any of y'all ever seen this book?
Yeah, I had that book. And I gave it to Baba Oreste. I paid
Yeah,
a lot of money
yeah,
for that book.
yeah, because he got it both in the and in the Spanish. This is the same one Padrino used. But check this out. The old dude in here don't say the same thing that the old dude say in other books. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And so
Yeah.
listen, I want to show this real quick because I did a debate with the Hebrew Israelites and I played a little bit of it before,
Okay.
but I wanted to like go get into like when I breaking all that down to you. Whereas in E5, like it's pretty simple because you have a priest in place to actually break all that down. Like, I mean, I got confused. Hold on, let me see. I was gonna say, hold on. Because he got into
Starting when I remove myself. Want me to screen share this?
yes.
When I remove myself, that's when your time starts. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll be back in 14 minutes.
All right, so we're talking about the mind and all that stuff and what he's saying, but I don't see where you can practice any of that in normal society without someone breaking all that down to you. Whereas in E5, like it's pretty simple because you have a priest in place to actually break all that down. Like, I mean, I got confused if I like this is my first time hearing all that, and I have no idea what the hell he was talking about. Like, so imagine a person that's just new. Imagine a person with mental illness.
Yeah.
And you're trying to explain all that to them, and the inner side of the blah, 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 mind. No, you know what? In IFA, you know what I'm saying. Bottom line is that look, the Odu, you go to a Babalawo, he gives you a reading. Based on that, you get diagnosed with whatever the problem is. The Odu is broken down into various aspects of the body. Like it breaks down your digestion, your respiratory rate, your reproductive functions, your all these different sexual functions, whatever. And when you get your reading, you understand what's going on with a person mentally as well as physically. Now he keeps talking about the Orisha and the ancestors. First of all, your ancestors are a part of your DNA. They make up who you are. People are talking about you're worshiping the ancestors. Well, you're worshiping yourself because your ancestors make up everything that you are is everything that came before you through your bloodline. So what do you mean like that we're worshiping? It's not ancestor worship. It's that. Well, you know what? If you don't know where you came from, you don't even know that if you got something hereditary or not. I can have a heart problem that my grandmother had. My grandfather. I know right now that my grandparents and my people that passed down that my grandma had diabetes and had high blood thing, and so I know that when I see it within the family that it's okay. This is a hereditary. So you're talking about the worship of the animal. We venerate our ancestors because we understand that they are the source of to who we are today. So when he's trying to like downplay the role of the people that came before us, and to me, it's just insane to like think about that like that. When we wouldn't even be here if people didn't come before us. So just to give that reverence is evil and witchcraft, and the Torah is against that. Okay, well then, why do you talk about Moses then? Why are you giving him reverence and pumping him up and let my people go and all the other stuff? You should not talk about Moses. You should not talk about any. You shouldn't even talk about what is the purpose of the Torah if you're not talking about people from the past. And then you're talking about how do you diagnose illness using that? We're talking about what is more practical in society. How do you diagnose illness? When a person reads the Torah, how do they know if they're sick or not? And who tells them? Is it a priest? Who you just read that and you know what to do? You read the book and that's it. And then you just know off rip. Okay, the mind and this square and all this. When you read that, such an enlightenment should just come upon you that you understand that. No, in Ifa you have priests, you have Babalawo, you have Olorisha priests that understand these things. They make up an aspect of the community. The Orisha are not just things that are worshipped as some kind of like thing outside of God. These are aspects of the body, physical health, your brain, your eyes, your ears, Ibeji, Orumila, the brain, Obatala, the eyes, Shango, the heart, Olokun, the blood. You understand? And when you get your reading in Ifa from a Babalawo or Orisha, they are able to diagnose. Ifa is a scientific system of diagnosis of illness. From a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from a society. So they'll tell you, okay, watch out for this in society. Watch out for this in your health. You're going through some mental issues. You're feeling like kind of sad. You ain't had no sleep lately. You wonder about, okay, well, guess what? And then you might find out, okay, well, go and do this. Go and go get these herbs and go take a bath. Okay, I'm gonna do an Omiero bath. and then that's made up of certain herbs based on the Odu that comes out. There might be, if it's really bad, or you might be on death's door, they might say, okay, we might need to do a sacrifice or do something a little bit more stronger because you about to check out. You are so imbalanced that you and it's all about creating what iwapele and balance in the person, in the body, the mind, the spirit, and the community as a whole. Because what did I say earlier before? The microcosm affects the macrocosm, and the microcosm affects the macro versus the micro. So all these things are effective all across the board. Everything that you do affects the universe. Everything that the universe does affects happen. It's all connected basically. And then we get into Iwe herbs. Okay, in the environmental structure of Ifa. All right. All the Orisha are connected for specific herbs. Those specific herbs connect to a certain organ or physical part of the body. So people get so wrapped up in the pictures and the images of the Orisha, but if you don't really go deeper into it, you would never know that this is really bodily functions. That these, and then when you get deeper into it, you'll find out, oh, okay, well, you guys are getting you guys are getting using sacrifices and this, that, the other. Okay, sacrifice could take many forms.
Right.
Maybe giving up something, like not eating a certain thing. Maybe eating a certain thing, like that you normally probably wouldn't do. Maybe fasting, changing in behavior. It both translates as an offering or a sacrifice. It has a broader meaning, modifying the energy field. You stop what you've been doing this with, try something different. That's the sacrifice. That's the ebo. I'm talking about that.
And you see, and
girl, I don't know what you.
I wouldn't say that because I don't know. I mean, because you got a good grasp on all that.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're on a roll. And see, that's what we're trying to get people to see. With that much knowledge and understanding of what's all about, it's, can't nobody come and feed you a bunch of wolf cookies. I put it like that.
You sure can't. You
spot on the folks. You spot on. And that's why I tell people all the time. Hear these Negroes run around talking about witchcraft, and you walk around with it in your pocket. That's some dead white folks. And on the back of the money says, "In God we trust." So which one of them is your God? You run around with these folks' ancestors in your pocket with your pictures on it, and it says, "In God."
The picture and everything.
And you do everything with that, but you don't think about that's witchcraft. See,
right. The dollar got all kind of pyramids,
all
and kind of crazy.
And in the corner it says, "In God we trust." You playing with yourself, man. Where's the God in on there? You mean George Washington, Abraham, Benjamin Franklin? That's what you say it is. Out of your pocket. You walk around in your pocket, and you're glad to have them in there. Have no problem. If you don't have them, you go crazy. Now they got them on plastic cars, so you don't have to worry about it. See, we do a lot of foolish stuff and thinking that's not how this thing works. That's why I love Ifa. I've been through every religion you could think of, and I was in the inner circle. I was among the top bunch till I found out the origin of all of this is a thing called Ifa, and that it's the science and the binary. The universe do not understand words. It understands geometry. It understands mathematics. And if it ain't mathematical, it don't work. Now, I like the time when my young man was on, I think it was Kevin, whoever young man there, I enjoyed him with his astro theology. But I had one question I was trying to get to, I had to leave out. But now, if you telling me that the sun has to go through all 12 houses, when it actually goes through 13 houses, how accurate is your astrology? I mean, it's missing something. Because if you look at Sagittarius, how long is the sun in Sagittarius? How long is the sun in Ophiuchus? How long is the sun in Scorpio? You can't jump over Ophiuchus to Scorpio and say that's it. So now you got a missing part. Most people is operating on a wrong astronomical side because the sign changes every 2,600 years. It shifts. That's what I love about our ancestors. They knew this. Why the brother asked, what day of the week, what month? What month is this according to the sacred calendar? What day is this? This is Obatala's day. What month is this? Oshun.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And here's another question. So
if I want to move someone, I can contact that energy and bring it into manifestation to achieve what's necessary.
So are we separating the actual understanding of Ifa from the Orisha? Or is Ifa
No,
Okay.
we're not, because what we're doing, we're showing the energy as well as what it represents. Like you said, what it represents, it also represents a threefold, dimension. You know, it
So here,
recognizes
so
flesh, huh?
tell me this. All right. So as an IFA priest, okay, so I know that in the Orisha, right, there's a time during initiation or during even certain ceremonies where people get possessed. Now, this was one of the
Oh,
points of contention that Dayon had, where he talked about the fact that, okay, you guys get possessed. Those are demons that are possessing you guys, and you're getting possessed by demons. You're doing child sacrifices. You're
but
doing
see,
this, and this is just this evil thing,
you
and
know
blah
he was
blah
lying
blah.
there, right?
And all right, so I wanted like to get into the possession aspect of Ifa
Okay.
and what exactly is that, because I know what it is. I know it's the vibration of the drums, and I can break down that whole thing. But I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Well, the thing about that is, first and foremost, the reason these guys talk that because that's something they heard. But let me go back to when this thing first came across the ocean. There was a guy by the name of William J. Seymour. When he came across from Africa, being over there in Africa, and they called it the Holy Ghost in the church in 1906 on Zuzu Street in California. That's where they so-called that the spirit of possession came in, that they called the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, out there on Zuzu Street. That's where you go and you get off into tongues, and your body takes on another energy, and you begin to speak. That's where, and then they say that was evil. That's not. The guy that started the Church of God in Christ, where the whites got their stay from, called the Full Gospel Assembly, was one guy by the name of William J. Seymour. Pull him up. He brought the concept back and showed them what it was, and they began to emulate it, and they said it was evil. There is nothing evil about possession. All that, when they go out and eat certain herbs, when they go out and smoke certain things, they get these visions, get these so-called hallucinations. You know, everybody want to name things even when everything ain't evil. Everything has its place. It's when you use it improperly. So I go to this as being a pastor in the Church of God in Christ. I watch people guys speaking in tongues. I've seen people actually morph it out of themselves into other images, and they would see things beyond the norm. They have what they call discern. They could tell you your whole life and didn't know nothing about you. We called it back then what discerning spirits. Where did it come from? Speaking, and the word speaking in tongues, that means speaking another language. You say you must have an interpreter. Well, on the day, so-called day of Pentecost, when they all heard him in the upper room, they heard a man speaking in his own language. They all was Galilean. How did that happen? Remember, there are some phenomena in this world that we all can't explain. It's just there. When you experience it, you will know that you're in another realm. And we live in what you call a parallel universe. A parallel universe. Sometimes you pass yourself in the movement, you know, and that's been what I'm saying. Ifa tells us this. And we
You're
have to
saying
realize,
sometimes you pass yourself in the actual universe?
yes, it's called a parallel universe, you know, and sometimes that frequency, you actually pass yourself. Man, what was that? And then some you look back, wait a
That
minute.
deja
A lot of
vu?
times you have to call deja vu. I've been here before. I've seen this. You know, you're able to forecast. Realize the most powerful thing about you is your spiritual self. It's not your terrestrial. It is your spiritual side. And most times it stays out of balance because we do not pay enough attention to those things that really help us to perfect a balance. And that's what Ifa does. It works on giving you that balance of your Ori, the celestial and terrestrial. I tell folks, it ain't, I don't care about what you go out there and want to do, you know, just don't label it Ifa because it's not. That is culture, ethnicity, something that y'all learn to practice or do. Because some folks in India, they ain't eat no cow. They ain't eat no cow. They
And they
started
get possessed as well. I saw a whole video of a lady get possessed, and it damn near leapt across the whole room in some kind of
look,
weird
I've
way.
been there. I've been there. I've seen folks actually speak under possession in a whole nother voice. You're talking about what it was exorcist, seen it in person. It's been, I've been a part of it. We used to call casting out devils. They wasn't cast, it was just another energy that came up that took over the body. Shango do it, Ogun do it, all of them do it, but it got to be at a certain rhythm or certain vibration to get
So
it
let's
there.
get
And that's
into
why
well, you know what? before we get into that deep vibration, because I really want to get into, because I want to really break this whole thing down, this vibration aspect, how the music is really influential in IFA, and how those things do cause possession. And bottom line is that when people go to the club and they're hearing tear the club up, and everybody start tearing the club up, okay, that's because whatever that vibration is coming through the speakers, that bass, whatever that they're using certain frequencies. There is a war frequency, there's a love frequency. All these things are happening within the universe. The universe, what it happened, what they say, the Big Bang, right? So a bang has a sound. Okay. So even let there be, okay, yeah, you had the Big Bang, then you had Let There Be Light. Either way, when we talk about any kind of creation story, there's always sound. And I think that, if I'm not sure, sound travels faster than light.
Well, they tell us that, but do you not know that there's a writing called The Occult of Geometry and Hermetic Science? It tells you that everybody has a frequency and a keynote. That keynote triggers certain things in your being that cause different response. That's why you can play a certain thing and a snake will move a certain way. Certain animal responds to it. Everything has something it can relate to it. And I know when I'm a drummer, and I also used to play in the clubs. And when the guitar, especially like B.B. King, when he hit that little E and squeeze it, or panties come off, titties jump out, people go crazy, and they changed the frequency in 1970 from middle C to A440. You ask any musician, how does he tune it? He said A440. That's another whole vibration. We as people of color, we're on the bass clef. The European is on the treble clef. And when the drum is important because our heart is like a drum beat. So it moves us. But now all the synthesized stuff and artificial sound, we're living in an artificial vibration, and that we call the techno spirit.
So you know what? And my bad, I made the wrong thing. Sound does not travel faster.
It does not.
I meant to say the other way around, because if you see you'll see the lightning strike, then you'll hear the thunder. The closer the lightning, the closer the thunder and lightning strike, the closer it is to you. But let's go into
there's one both, which is faster. Light, sound, light or sound. Which one? Light.
Light is faster, and then light came before sound.
It did,
according to the
what
internet.
about smell?
Well, we have to be there before, people would have to be there to smell.
Not necessarily, because you can smell something come from cross tables in the air. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, so we do have two people here that I think were wanting to ask questions, so I don't want to ignore them.
Okay, by all means.
Jasmine came here first. So Jasmine, you had a question?
No, I'm just taking it all in. My neighbor's dog is barking. I'm sorry, but I even pulled up my ancestry. I did a saliva swab years ago and got like a breakdown. I was listening to you guys talking about the countries and everything. I'm even looking at mine. So it says, and I guess I could ask about some clarification of what's going on. It says Yoruba land, Nigerian woodlands, and then it has Nigeria. What's the difference there? And then central Nigeria. There's like 4 different things that I think are all the same, right? Or no?
Well, it comes from the colonization of that particular land. One time it was all called Niger until the British and the French went in there and colonized. When they divided the land up, each body put their own spin on it. If you notice in the lower part, if you look at the map, it says Nigeria. Just above that, you'll see it says Niger. And the whole thing was lost. So when they went in and colonized, that was doing the colonization. Then you got Cameroon, you got different parts of that particular land. But the overall thing was when you got to go beyond colonization, before colonization. And it was called Niger, that land was. And then it got chopped up because of colonization, and everybody put their name on the product. My name is this, when it all goes to the original land of our Kibi. So you got, when you said your ancestors, then you have to find out what tribe, and also when you look at that, how much of that bloodline do you possess yourself?
Okay. Nigeria is 33%.
Oh,
Uh,
good. You saying Nigeria, right?
yes, yes.
And, okay, and that was under British. That was under British rule. Now it should be one that if you look with the Niger, that was under French rule.
Next one after Nigeria, 12%, Ivory Coast and Ghana.
Ah, see.
That's the next biggest one. But the others, like it says 4%, Yoruba land, 4%, Nigerian woodlands, 1%, Central Nigeria. And then you mentioned Benin earlier. That's 5%. But what's Western Bantu peoples?
Yeah, but now I'm going to say something and don't take it offensively.
Okay.
Whoever did your so-called DNA breakdown,
Yeah.
they basically calling us a mutt. What you have to do is get a roots reading to find out what tribe did your family come through, who was the Orisha over that house,
Oh, I
etc.
see.
etc. When we went and got our roots reading, I found out that my family was out of Oyo, and that at that time the house deity was Ogun. Okay, and then our name was IFA Baluje, which means this people will not deceive the community. You know, so these are things that these people gotta make money off our DNA, and most time they come back. If you was a breeder of animals and things, we come back as much 5% this, 3% that, 2% that, 3 or 4% that. Then you look at what I'm more confused now. What was the first? But what you want to know about is what tribe and what part of the country. If that, because everybody didn't come from Africa, you got some people that come out of other parts of the world that you have to look into, and they don't look at them. So, and that's the sad part. We look in one spot. When one time,
yeah, I'm sorry.
One part of the world was a one solid mass, and we was everywhere. That's why,
including over here, including America. So you might have that Nigerian in your, but it might have been Nigerian that already came over here and was over here.
Yeah, 100,000 years ago, and they was talking about all of that. That's why one of my teachers, good friend, Ivan Service, said they came before Columbus. Well, if you look up the record, there's a place called the Rio Negro River in South America. Sister Monica, pull it up. It talks about the people down there and the language, and we was all over this place. And we were for the Indian, we was here long before the Indian showed up. We was in 100,000 years, and the so-called Indian came across the Byron Strait. They only been here 30,000 years. It's documented. And they found also the Paleo language in New Mexico and other places over the land that our ancestors wrote. They even found hieroglyphs down in what's it called, the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
There's
I've
Costa
been
Rica.
out there, you know. And matter of fact, the Rio Negro River runs also into what they call into the Amazon.
So they must have been over. So you know what I'm saying. So
we're everywhere.
Right. So yeah, I wouldn't even get caught up on because they told me I was what 29% Nordic and 33%. I'm like Norse, like from Nordic. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. Now it might be true, and I don't know where down the line, and the slave master or whatever. I don't know, but come on now.
Wherever there's a hunger for knowledge, people seem to play on it. And back then, we was trying to find identity. One time the big thing was genealogy. We're going to the graveyard. We're going here trying to find that connection. Ogun Baby, guy there named Donald Payton. That was Donald Payton, and Donald was teaching us how to go to the grave and find out these different ancestors. I'm all in the graveyard knocking over stuff, scrubbing and rubbing. Cause we was from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s. We was trying to find an identity. You ain't got this. You got to go do this. So we so busy chasing our tail like a dog. If I come back, oh, wait a minute. I am a universal spiritual person, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Marcus Garvey, because he keeps going in and out, and I'm not sure if he's losing his connection. Marcus Garvey, did you have a question? You there?
Yeah, his mic's muted.
Gotta unmute your mic, Marcus Garvey. Can you?
Somebody in the back. Well, it ain't him. Jasmine.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe he's just here to watch, but I want to play this real quick. Oh, wait, there's someone else here. I'm sorry. All right, Ivory, do you have a question?
No.
No? Okay. So I want to get a little bit further into this whole demonic possession aspect of what I was talking about, because I get into the music part, and I really want to talk about that because, when we talk about what people have a misconception of, a lot of times we have like these misconceptions. All right, so let's go. But there's a difference between, we understand that there's a difference between demonic possession and spiritual possession. When a person is possessed, okay, a possession can not only just be like they're acting, a person can just be acting strangely. It's like in schizophrenia, a person was normally acting one way and now they're acting a certain different way. They are possessed at that point, and it might be a demonic possession. You know what I'm saying? So there's a different. We have accounts for demonic possession versus spiritual possession. You know what I'm saying? Now, when we talk about these different types of possessions that happen, those things are also spoke about in the Torah. We talk about King Saul, the one of the clearest examples of a demonic possession, when Saul was overtaken by the Spirit of God and begins to prophesy, appearing to lose control of his normal functions. Right, so that's some possession. But it said that the evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. So I don't understand how the Lord is going to send the evil spirit, to torment him. But bottom line is that both of these things talk about the same exact things in some kind of a way. But I think that a lot of times it's very misunderstood from an IFA perspective that, okay, what you're doing is witchcraft, but then you have the same exact thing in the Torah. You'll say, oh, no, this is not, the Torah is against that. But then you can read it right out of the Torah, exactly the same thing happening. The similar practices. All right. So when you actually get into possession in IFA, music is a huge part of IFA. When we actually really break down music forms a semi-solid mass. If you understand string theory, that about when we talk about vibration and all those things, when you combine herbs, you combine the readings, you combine the singing, you understand that all this stuff is really a whole aspect of how the community works. You know what I'm saying? You'll find that even today, that music, it causes spiritual possession. And why? Because the actual hertz of music, 432 hertz, we call it Eji Ogbe, promotes healing, clarity, and a sense of oneness. Oyeko Meiji, it causes grounding, pain relief, and calming of fear. Transformation of DNA, that's Agunda Meiji, cutting through obstacles. Orosu Meiji, health and restoration. Now, when people talk about the rituals that we do, and you say that this person is getting possessed by the ancestors and that we're worshiping the ancestors, understand that all this is really scientific stuff. It's not like this spooky thing that we have. Everything can be explained in a scientific manner. And we are very aware, us practitioners understand and know how to break that thing down. When you're talking about the Torah and how when in practice in society, there's so much. How can you really, if you don't understand from a very deep level what all those things mean in the Torah, how can you heal yourself? But the difference between a person in the Torah and Ifa is that Ifa, the priests are there to give you the direction in the community to actually explain those things to you and to actually heal you along the way. If you just read the Torah, you're going to be confused. Like, what are you talking? How am I going to connect that to my brain? And how do I heal myself? What you just said. Okay, well, that's the brain and this, that, the other. And I don't understand how that is going to heal society. We need an overall system that understands things, that breaks things down from a community aspect, from a health, vibration, spirituality, that understands how to heal us and understands through herbs. Okay, that these things get broken down very detailed. The people that practice Ifa understood herbology very well and understood how to heal themselves. Understood not only how to eat the certain things, but to heal themselves through what they ate. And all those things are in the Odu, in the actual Odu Ifa. The Odu Ifa is over, I would say, almost. I mean, I couldn't even tell how many, 400,000 pages of if you actually were to actually write it down. So that's how immense that the body of knowledge is. You know, so and it accounts for everything from every situation that can possibly, any combination, 256 combinations, 16 major, 400,000 or more variations of situations that could affect your life in any given way. And the bottom line is that when you have a system that's that deep, of course that would be more relevant for society. Why? Because society is always changing. Individuals need individualistic, not a group a solution. We've had the group solution and it has not done us any good. But when we actually applied the individual solution to the problem, then okay, now we getting somewhere. When people practice voodoo, which is an offshoot of IFA, because IFA is the thing of divination, right? So most voodoo people that practice voodoo practice IFA. IFA is usually, you have IFA, you have candomblé, you have voodoo. All those things fall under the IFA umbrella, right? They were able to conquer. They were able to get out of slavery from that. You know, they were able to defeat the French. Why? Because they had the actual understanding of the herbs. They understood the land. They understood how to the fauna and the flora of the earth. They had the priests. They had the understanding. And then all those people, because of the connection between IFA and the community in Africa, all those people, even though they came from different parts of Africa, were still able to work together and commune with each other, even though they were separate tribes, because spiritually they had an understanding. And that's why they were able to overcome. And I believe that the system that exists today, it wants to keep us you know, in a box. Me as an IFA practitioner, I have nothing against a person that's a Torah, and I can learn the Torah. But you would say to me as an IFA practitioner, what you are doing is evil, witchcraft, this, that, the other. Meanwhile, people are getting, because you go to a herbalist, half the stuff they're doing is in the IFA. All the herbs and fauna, sorry, let me go back to the herbs. All the herbs and all the understanding of herbology and of the body is all IFA. Sorry, let me get back to this. When you talk about the Orisha, you think that you're talking about some kind of a deity, but you're really talking about yourself. When you think you're talking about the ancestors, you think that the ancestors are outside of yourself, but no, they are part of you. All right, so I wanted to get that part out. Thoughts?
Girl, that you are awesome. I am proud of you. I am proud of you. Just awesome. Yes.
Wow, thank you.
Yes, indeed. You are off the chain. I am so proud of you. Because I have been around a lot of quote practitioners and Orisha priests, and they luncheon. But you are dead on course. Thank you. I appreciate you. We need more sisters like you. Yes.
Can you elaborate though? Is there something I'm missing? Something I left out? Something I
Girl, but the only thing that I probably would have added to that, what you were saying, is I'm a stickler for people understanding where they're from and understanding that, you know, it is important for you to pay homage to yourself through your people. And that's about the only thing that I would have added to that. You know, I have a little, I guess some people will call it a ceremony, but it's not a ceremony. It's just where I discuss the importance of what ancestor veneration is and what Egungun really means. And I pass around this particular item that people can't see until they get the item. And within this item is a particular thing that shows them what an actual Egun looks like. And once they see what an Egun actually looks like, it really puts them on the path of understanding that there's no excuse for anything, because the thing that they see, the Egun, is themselves. So that's the only thing.
Right. They open up and look at a mirror, see a mirror inside.
There you go. You already got it. Exactly. So that's the only thing that I, you know, would have added to what you were saying, because man, that's what Fa is. Ifa is. It's all about you, and it's critiqued to the individual themselves. And if a Babalao is wise enough and not concerned about, I'm not saying that he should not make money from counseling and from helping people. But if he would not have that as his forefront and really help the people, man, this will spread like wildfire.
I'm sorry. Were you?
I go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like, and that you spot on, and also with IFA, and like I said, one thing I found about IFA when I got into IFA many years ago, IFA is the only spiritual I can tell you where everything come from and what old do it came into the world under, so you can better understand that particular action or spirit. And I noticed Baba Ogun Bami didn't bring his book, but there's a part that says how the white man came to the world. And that sounds crazy, but there in there it talks about, and so we think white as a pigmentation. It is a spirit or energy that he fought. It says it came into the world under a particular old dude, and everything comes in under a particular old dude. I want to give you that old dude. What you mean? I ain't never seen nothing like this that ever go and tells you exactly what old dude that things come in under. How money came to the world, how this came to the world, and it tells you in the breakdown of what those old dudes is, that these things come in. That way you better understand. Do you not know the thing that we're dealing with and what they call AI? It's been around a while. It came in under Osa Major, and it talks about when he came into the world and what his plan was. And in the Pataki, it says that he was there observing Odumare make a man, and he wanted to make a man, but Odumare had to leave out, and the man that he made issue came in as the policeman in the room, and his man couldn't speak. That's robots. We got them there, and they're speaking now. He is so consistent, it says, that he will create a lot of inventions that will come forward. And that's that is under particular old dude, how man came into the world, how money came into the world. Because money says, he that work for me, I'll make my slave. He who I work for, I'll make rich. When anybody know you can't work, and when you're working, you don't get rich, but when you invest in certain things, investments, that's where the money come from. And that's the only thing they get, that they only tax your income, but they can't tax stocks and bonds and things you invest. That's how they get rich. And it's also in the book called IFA. It talks about how he made divination for the white man when he was anxious to know how to manifest a live human being. But that live human being is called AI. And it came under Irete Meiji. The name
Wow.
Huh?
So that shows the E5 does have almost everything in it. Like I said, 400,000 stories, Patakis, or more, and more, continuously
and
growing.
And everything is a.
And I might be wrong with that number. Please don't quote me on that number. I might be giving
wrong. They can everybody, but I'm still, and it's steady evolving. I tell people all the time, it's gonna be hard to get past these because they already told you what's going on. And I challenge you, but I think everybody, because there is a system of divination for non-initiative. They need to learn how to do that. That will save a whole lot of headaches. You'd be surprised how much money I've saved by able to use the 4 coral shells. They say, well, you can't get an old dude with the 4 coral shell. That is not true. You can actually get old dude with the 4 corals. They call one leg, and you can throw one leg at a time and get a complete old dude, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do. It ain't just.
So what do you think about? So what do you think about people that use the tarot? Because I think the tarot come from the Kabbalah. The tarot is
look. I'm sorry. I apologize. I gotta stop that. There's no such thing in there about a tarot. It don't give you no solutions. You get a tarot card, this, that, and then you got to make up something for that. Okay. You all know everybody got crazy behind what's his name? Kendrick Lamar when he did the halftime show at the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Did you not know that he had some young men on a light pole hanging upside down, who represented the hangman in tarot card, the 12 card, and a lot of folks didn't see it.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that. Yeah.
It was some young men hanging on the light pole upside down. The head was near the light, which represented the hangman on the tarot card. He was sending a message to the society through that sign and symbol. A lot of folks missed it. They so by there, they ain't like us. They ain't like us. They sure ain't. But you didn't look up that pole when he stood on that pole. We got all that white on, and at the top of it was a man up there on the light pole, hanging upside down.
Right. And that was not on the song They Not Like Us. That was a whole other song.
Yeah, but the thought was that was just a placate, but there were signs and symbols in there that represented certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of folks missed it.
Well, that's what Hollywood does. Is throws it's a Jewish mystic sign, the Kabbalic signs.
Right.
But you're saying that tarot is not Kabbalah?
It's not. I'm just saying it's not IFA.
Oh, okay.
There is no answer to you get these 7 cards and all this, and there is nothing in there that solidifies what you need to do to get this thing, this, that, and the other. You know. You
just told, hey, listen, you might there's something coming up and whatever, blah, blah, and that's it.
But it don't tell you how to deal with it, how to avoid it, this, that, and the other. I mean, it's gonna be hard to beat IFA when it comes to getting a complete message, understanding whether it's an Ire or in an Osogbo or is Ibi, and then it tells you the formula how to deal with it. You got to learn how to appreciate the message and not go. If you go against it, you're gonna get it. If you do what it said do, you'll make it. I got old saying, and all about ways acknowledge IFA, and IFA will direct your path. It don't miss.
And I wanted to show you how intricate IFA is when you get into
that's beautiful.
Okay, so this is the actual Odu IFA.
Yeah, the homiletics, yeah. The structure.
All right, so it goes. So this is actually a doctor who put this whole thing together. This is the 250. Is Dr. Will Coleman.
It's the same guy that I've got. That's him right there.
Dr. William Coleman, PhD. I'm not sure if this is a white guy or a black guy, but they are. but there is documentation. If you go to this, I'm not sure what is African tradition. Atlanta University. So this guy created by the Atlanta University Center Woodruff Library, okay, with funding from the government, okay. So people are getting government funded to go into the Odu IFA, and see they're breaking things down. So this is how in depth IFA goes. So man, this thing, if you ever want to understand like IFA, this is a really good thing because it breaks down the cosmologies of how these things are understood. Okay, so you have Hebrew cosmology, and it breaks down the heaven. Then he breaks down Yoruba cosmology.
Yeah, and it gives them the credit because that's what everybody's familiar with. But actually, it's deeper than that, and that's it. And that's what I've been reading last time I was doing sitting around today. That and the thing called the Universal Knowledge of IFA, it's all in there. Same. Oh yeah, that's my old pony trade with the nuts, And then it gets into the.
If you break this whole thing down, this is a deep thing too, because Eshu is on here, and Eshu is like the darkness, and I don't know who these other people are, but it's.
Yeah, but the thing it says this, what you got there in front of you is called the Order Senora of the Metaphysical Principle of the Single Leg Odu IFA. Then it tells you about what it is. Got the tablet. If I can just bring up my little deal right there.
Oh yeah, that you looking at the same thing I'm looking at. Okay.
Yeah, I tell you, I have the documentation. This I've been putting myself into research and study to understand what I'm dealing with. Why people are saying, and then no, I got the documents, I got the paperwork, I got the whole thing.
Baby, all right, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was listening to her. She was talking about the head was SU. So what did you learn about the other 4 points?
I just knew that Eshu is like the darkness. So from what I understood is that this whole thing is the universe. It's like this is called like the womb, the womb of the universe, right? And so you have darkness, you have light, you have you have Eshu, and then you have El. then you have like on each side there's something else. And so bottom line is that this is also how the community in the center, if you actually, this is how the communities were set up, to where you had the entire city surrounding like this, like set up like this, and in the middle was the king. And so you have the center point where you do all the reading of the nuts, and it's the same layout as the universe. So people would lay out their communities the same way that they will lay out this thing that they do to the divine, as well as how the universe is set up. And so all the stuff that is done within this calabash,
Right.
what they call it, it's called the calabash.
Calabash, yeah.
And all life it exists inside the calabash, which is like a womb, the universal womb.
Could you get a bigger picture? Bigger picture?
Let me see.
So, okay, well, just squint you down a little bit. So okay, the way, oh, that's perfect. So
Yeah.
the way that I teach at my house, my ELA, okay, is yes, the top portion represents SU, represents your third eye, represents Orumala, represents Olodumare, represents the different conscious levels of yourself. The left part represents Yemoja, your emotions, your feelings, everything that deals with feminine energy. And the right side represents the sun, outside, exterior, masculine, everything that deals with knowledge. And the bottom, if you are a man and you're holding the pawn in the middle of you, the bottom represents the person that's divining, his lineage or your ancestors. So if you're a man and you're divining, when you cast the shells to the center, it is like you ejaculating, and you're producing or creating an Odu, or you're creating life, you're creating a consciousness. You know, when you have sex, that's literally what you're doing. You're coming together, you know, wisdom and knowledge comes together, it makes understanding. You're creating a child, and that child is understanding. So you're getting that Odu that is going to create your reality. You with me? So if it's a female, the same thing. When she casts, it's the same thing. It depends on if who is doing the divining, what aspect of how I would teach it to someone.
You know what? They did talk about how that even a lot of the things within IFA have to do with procreation, you know, male and female and things like that. And so a lot of times, so what happens is that then you get into like when you get into people that are in the LGBT community, where they would say, oh, okay, well, in IFA, there is no thing against like LGBT and things like that. And so
no such creature, no such
thing as homosexuality.
Yes. That depends on the individual's house. You know, if like your house may be like, no, I don't want no homosexuals in my house because that's against nature. Or your house may be, you understand energy, and that's all the person is just energy. If they choose to live that life, you actually could help them bring balance to living that life if you understand energy.
And see, that's the part that, you know, people get misunderstood, is that they want to argue about, oh, well, no, IFA don't say that this is cool or that. It's like, well, bottom line is IFA is not just for the one group of people, certain people. It's not just for the Yoruba, it's for everybody. So therefore, within everybody, that's going to include LGBT. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's universal.
That I would tell a person that has something against the LBG, whatever the alphabets are, community, is that they need to study Oduduwa. That's what I would tell them. They need to study Oduduwa.
Break down Oduduwa real quick. Let's go into that.
Oduduwa represents everything that is dark, represents everything that human would ever experience. I mean, to the other disgusting, you can't name what Oduduwa does not represent when it comes down to evil, wickedness, darkness, whatever you want to name it as. That's one of the reasons why you have, you know, it talks about Obatala creating the earth, and he created messed up kids because he got drunk, but Oduduwa came and finished the job. So we are living into a true mental asylum. You know, there's no one that is the same. There's no one that thinks the same. Everybody has their own quirks. You know, we are all unique, and we all have a level of darkness that we are willing to go to depending on what information or knowledge we're fed. So you have no right to judge anybody because of what kind of lifestyle they choose to live. The only thing that I will say you have a right to judge is if somebody kills somebody. That's it.
And hell, depending on what the circumstances are, hell.
I say, indeed. But see, and again, Oduduwa represents that.
Right. So everything is represented in Odu Ifa.
Everything.
Every aspect of life. And
Everything.
that is why a diviner of Ifa is able to touch on anything. And they're not there to judge you based on whatever. They're just there to give you, okay, well, this is what came out. There is no judgment on it. And so, but like, and that's why we're able to understand. I can go into a church, I can go to a synagogue, I can go into a Buddhist temple and still see the similarities and understand those things and not be judgmental about any of those things.
Indeed.
And I think that if when people understand Ifa as a I would say almost like a overall understanding of the universe, period, then you're able to like not get judgmental about anything. You know what I'm saying? Because
indeed,
it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? People are you know,
and that's why it's important that we as practitioners understand that we have a over understanding, so we don't get caught up in the judgmental thing. You know, they judge us because they don't know, but then we stand back and let people know this is not Ifa. Ifa is a universal science that is used to understand the whole cosmological phenomenon, you know, and that's why it's important. And like the writer says, if anything gonna save the world, it's gonna be Ifa, because Ifa knows how everything came in and what has to be and how to be dealt with. But we got all these various religions which are bondage, trying to explain something that they have no understanding of.
And let's even talk about how we bring in our religion into, like, I come from Christianity. It's easy for me to bring Christianity into Ifa. It's easy for me to try to reconcile that, you know. But Ifa is Ifa. It's not the same as any other religion. It's not Christianity. And I tried to find a way to combine the. Listen, I think it all means the same thing. And the more I looked and tried to combine it with all these different things, that's how I end up doing the debate with the Torah. I said, you know what? No, you know, because I looked more deeper, and guess what? All these because religion, it brings rules. It brings a certain level of rules.
It brings division. It brings division. And I understand you come from, because remember, I pastored 48 years in the Christian church, and I've been through most of them as a leader. And I was sitting in the back room and hear these guys say, nah. And what really brought me to Ifa, and I don't mean to cut you off, when I was going through the Torah, and I ran across this thing about the Epod. And I started checking with the white, or the Khazars, better known as Ashkenazi Jews. They began to explain to me how they would divine to the Creator, to God, to their God, to get answers of yes and no. Then I looked at Ifa and said, that's the same thing in Ifa. You know, then many things they practice was in, for instance, Abraham sacrificing his son, you know, and then the ram, the angel finds his ram and breaks up the thing. Now remember, an angel came in and disrupted God from Abraham from killing his son. God didn't stop him, but an angel came in and stopped it. Check it out.
Did you hear the story about how Arumila met Jesus?
You know, what's his name in there? I got the name. It's a name.
It's Isaiah. There's actually a time Arumila met Jesus, met Buddha, met Krishna, and it's all in the Odu. So I'm like, how? So I would say this: if you want to understand a religion, you go to the source of it, right?
Right.
So
right.
All right. If you understand Islam, right? Mm-hmm. In Islam, you have Moses, you have Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Judaism come before those religions, right? In Abrahamic, right? Yeah. In Ifa, you have Krishna, you have Buddha, you have Jesus, you have Moses, you have all those things. So that came before those. So therefore, when you understand that a religion has everything in it, even a understanding of everything of all, why would you go to a something that only has a portion of?
That's my point. That's my point. Instead of having the whole thing, you run around with crumbs, thinking it's the whole thing when the whole thing is not there. This is why I was trying to get the guys here. You can't run around with a piece of the book and think you got the book, because there's so many missing pieces that might be viable to that. But one thing about IFA, it's living. You're not going, when you divine, you're gonna get the message. And whether you accept it or not, that's up to you. But you're gonna get the message.
One book might only have, the Torah, so to speak, might only have one aspect. But then when you have something that has all the aspects, including a individual divination system that explains to you what you need to do as an individual, it has in there whatever kind of personality traits or whatever behavior modification that needs to happen. All these things. It's really based on behavior modification. Okay. All of the rituals, all of the things that they have in the IFA tradition is based on a behavior modification that changes you to put you on track. One thing I will say is that, in Christianity, in Judaism, in all these things, they all believe that you have a destiny, because that's why they say that the path is thin, and you have to walk this thin path to get to God, right? Yeah. But do they give you a roadmap on how to get to the God, right?
No,
they just say it's
quit
just
sinning. Quit sinning.
And that's all you get. That's all you're gonna get. However,
that's where they boy from archery.
You are out of balance. You're out of balance. You need to get on balance. Get back on track. Because sometimes we don't even know. There's been times when I've been in E-Ray and I thought I was in a subboat. There's been times when I thought I was off track and I get told, "No, you're already right. You're good. You're doing the right thing." And I'm like, "Really?" Because the mind can play tricks on you. The mind will get you thinking that you're completely off track. Mm-hmm. And you might be heading down the right direction, but there's just so many things going on that your mind, you know what I'm saying? That's why you always pray to your mind when you wake up in the morning. Please don't lead me the wrong way.
Well, the book say that the Ori will not accept. How does it go? What you're talking about, the spirit, you won't accept it if it's not in alignment. And it's got an Ori affirmation. I don't call them, but I call them affirmations that we do on a daily basis to my Ori. And then because my day is important, that I have balance. And then that's one called the Orumula affirmation that we sometimes do. There are affirmations, or you call them chants or quotations, but there are certain things that the mind recognizes, it brings it in balance and harmony with everything else based on the vibration and the frequency. A lot of folks don't understand that. And a lot of things you listen to throws you out of balance if you're not very careful, because it takes you out of your norm, or out of your what do you call it? Out of your I'll think of the word here in a minute. But it messes you up to the point that you run around won't know why, because like you said, you have left the path, basically.
Now I'm gonna say this. Now we have been very kind talking about IFA. Now I want to shake the table a little bit. Okay. And then we're gonna talk about some of the things that ain't so good about IFA. The first thing I want to bring up is Babalaos that use IFA to gain wives for sexual gratification and trying to use people to gain monetary gain. There's been time because of the fact that you're using something, right? This is the thing. Now he just talked about how this calabash right here, right? Mm-hmm. See this right here? That there's a whole sexual energy going on with this. Now there is a danger to that, right? Because you're getting a reading. And if you go to the wrong Babalao, they can be able to use this sexual energy. If they're the wrong person, they can use it against you. I'm gonna tell you what, they can mesmerize you into thinking that you need to become their wife. And there's a thing called a petabee. It's a petabee. And I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know if there's a difference between a petabee that's supposed to happen and a petabee that becomes a slave to a Babalao. Now, a Petabi is the wife of a Rumila, but what happens is that some Babalawos will use this sexual energy to enslave a person to become their slave, and then they will use the information based on what they know to make a woman be working for them and also be having sex with them. Now, is that right?
No.
Should a priest ever be and this is for people that if you ever get into IFA and you're getting readings, please know if you run into a Babalawo that ever tell you that you're supposed to sleep with them or anything like that, and they are your practitioner, it is equivalent to a doctor doing a gynecological thing on you and start effing you in the damn room when they get done doing the damn.
It is taboo for a Babalawo. It is taboo for a Babalawo to sleep with any students or children that's on his tutelage. That was taught to me as soon as I got to meet some more, especially when I was dealing with Arrestee and Mom Olive. She said right off the bat, it is taboo for me to deal with any student I'm teaching or practice, a person, especially in the same house, because we're in family. That's like incest.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So this person is looking into your future, your past. He's using. So you're wide open. You are on the table, and he's got like a speculum, and it's inserted into your womb, and it's looking into your damn thing.
Yeah, he's looking out. Yeah.
Okay, and he like seeing everything going on with you, and he said, "You know what? I think I like you. I like you, and I want you. You know what I'm saying? I like you, and I want you. Okay.
We can do this the easy way.
We can do it the hard way. And you know that has brought a bad mark on his father.
So be careful dealing with if a Babalawo say some crap like that. Run for the hills and probably get a cleansing, because I don't know what the hell he probably gonna do after that, and probably try to put some stuff on you. He's a weirdo, and don't allow no Babalawo to ever tell you that, because that's not. Now there is a thing called a Petabi, but that's a big difference. Let's go into that. I want you guys to talk about that.
Well, then that like you were saying, and it needs no verification, because anytime people find a subject that's weak enough to fall into their grasp or control, this what happened, male or female. Remember in the opening, it said it back in the day, it took 21 years of indigenous servitude to gain the knowledge. Can you imagine being a slave to an individual for 21 years just to learn certain things? That way it was back in the day before we started getting written material where people began to read for themselves. But I know back in those some Babalawos, man, they had 6, 7, 8, 9 women, and they considered their wives and Petabi that they were sleeping, and they were their students. And that's what gave a bad name in the Metroplex among some of the brothers. And then they would mess over, mistreat them, and they go out and spread the bad news. And then now he's a pimp. He's trying to build a harem, and he's gonna sit around and like a king on the throne and bow down. That's not IFA. That is not IFA. You know. And the problem I had with that back in the day, man, no, we're not doing it, man. Get this woman that she do that some cook and wash your clothes. Come on, man. And I know from experience, being around these brothers and let them know, man, this is not the way it's supposed to be. You know, well, so-and-so doing it because he's doing it, make it be right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm about to play this real quick, Brother Oba. He's going to talk about initiation, okay? Because we've been very kind this whole time, but we need to talk about some of the stuff. So there is a rites of passage when it comes down to initiation. There is an aspect where it's a rites of passage, but then there's also an aspect that it is about also money as well. So we need to be real about sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we have this rites of passage, and people can be really, really honest about that. But then we have other people that's just doing something and we don't even know what they're doing. So let's get into it. This is really based on Lukumi, because that's what my practice is, and he is one of the he did initiate me into Olokun. But I just I love how he talks. So let's go.
As our king. Now, those 7 days you are treated like royalty, so that you know that you have a certain standard of how you're supposed to be treated in the world. Yes? Okay?
Yep, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, now, if you go to Shay, they gonna parade you around their little town. You ain't gonna get no nice clothes that you're gonna get buried in, right? Because they don't understand the psychological necessity for us to have that branded on our brain, right? And so then there's the concept of the things that go with the Kariotis ceremony, the things that we were initiated with. And inside the room, is a table of commodities, of attribute or condiments, so to speak. So on this table, there will be palm oil, there'll be guinea peppers, there'll be crushed up tortilla and fish, or bush rat and fish. There'll be alligator peppers. There will be wine. There will be ocean water or river water. There will be cocoa butter. There will be molasses. There will be honey. There will be effluent, cotton, right? All of these different things that are on that table are something that Black people were sold into slavery over.
Yes. Wow.
They do not have that initiation because that is not their experience. So we are giving the gods those things that men sold us over. We give them as condiments to the Orisha when we're birthing them. Okay? So that we have palm oil and all these different things. That is a standard. Like if you go into an ocean room and look at me and they don't have a table, and that table don't have a white sheet on it, and they don't have all the accoutrements on it, get out of it. Okay? Because that station of the person who runs that table is very important. Because the Orient table, like, I need this. And that person, after a while, they know the order of those things, that they'll be right there on time. So when I come back, they don't give me the next thing. Right?
Right. So the inversion, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. These are the midwives to me performing this birth. Okay. And so
initiation is giving birth. Like just like you're born again a Christian, you are born again.
And you go through all of the rites. You go through an aquatic renewal with a bath, right? Then you're shaved, where you're being released of all of your transgressions that you've accumulated over time.
And babies ain't got no hair.
That's why they don't have no transgressions. Feel me? And so this is why it's taken off to be back to be bald, and then a signature is painted on you. You ordered Domino's? Yeah. Oh. And so what happens is, in this ceremony, you're being born again, and then you're being born into the deity, and that deity will come with a name. Okay? And with this name, it comes with all of its taboos. Just like Superman got his taboos. He can't fuck with kryptonite.
Right. So Christianity got 10 commandments. You got like about how many you got taboos?
Right. And then you could do them if you want, but they're there to necessarily help you along, because there might be something that they're telling you that you shouldn't eat, that later on it might save your life. Right. But if you take something in the interim all the time, then it won't have the effects that you require.
So it says don't eat eggs, right? Don't eat eggs, don't eat eggs, don't eat eggs. And so that's part of your thing. And then maybe at one point eat an egg. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there might come a time when now that they're divining, and you might have some ailment. And then it comes out and they say, yo, you don't eat eggs? And they're like, nah. And they're like, okay, see, this is what is required. And then now it becomes that thing that would necessarily help you, right? Because you don't overdo medicine, or else it won't have any effect.
That's a good point, man. Wow.
So
understand the taboo.
Now, but the fact that your babies were born with full head of hair is an omen. That's a specific birth that is recognized within Yoruba land, that recognize a child that is called Dada.
Right. So when they have a full head of hair, that's a special thing. That's like
these are children of miraculous birth. They have miraculous circumstances to their birth. So twins are miraculous birth. Two different seeds germinating within you. That's a miraculous thing. A child born with the cord wrapped around their neck is a miraculous birth. Child born feet first is a miraculous birth, right? A child born with 6 fingers is a miraculous birth. Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to show something real quick, because Ibaing to my Ayubona's husband. See, so I was sitting on my throne, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens during initiation is that they, at some point after initiation, the community comes. And everybody comes to greet the Orisha, and they greet you, and you see the love in his face. This is their first time seeing their deity in flesh, right?
Right, you're getting to see the Orisha in real time, right? See, the thing about it is that nobody says that this religion is better than other. We're talking about the symbolism and how things are perceived, right? Jesus Christ is all good and dandy, but don't show me Jesus Christ on the cross, right? Because you're asking me to ask a man who can't help himself to help. You get that?
Yep. So, all right. So, anybody have any thoughts?
No thoughts. Just taking it all in. Just taking it all in. You know, I'm really grateful for the time and just having me in just to listen on it. You know, when y'all was talking about the different religions, it put me in the mind of when I was having a conversation with my mom. You know, she's very religious, very spiritual on a Christian standpoint. You know, but she also understands some of the occult. So it was a point of time in my life where I had to go stay with her for a couple months, and I had my altar there. You have to go to my altar, feed it water, light candles, speak to it. So she was like, "Oh, what are you doing? You ain't bringing no witchcraft to my house, right?" And I was like, "Nah, this ain't got to do no witchcraft. Just imagine when in the Bible when it was talking about Moses and Moses was talking to the burning bush. I said, if you seen a man outside talking to a burning bush, how would that make you feel?" And she's like, "Well, shit, I think he'll crazy. I think he will be crazy." I said, "Exactly. That's the same thing I'm doing at my altar. You know, you might look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm talking to God in my form. You know, so just hearing y'all saying that, it makes everything come full circle in the line. So, yeah, like I said, I appreciate the time."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jasmine, did you want to say anything?
Jasmine, do you want to?
Well, I wanted to know
Well,
more
I
about
wanted to know more about
the births and what
the
he was saying,
births
like
and what
being
he was saying,
born,
like
reach
being
your feet
born and reach your
first,
feet first.
cord wrapped around your neck. Also, I've heard about being like in call where you're still in a sack. Can we talk more about that?
Anyone want to talk about that?
What do you want to talk about? The umbilical
So he
cord?
was talking about different types of birth that are miraculous births,
Yeah, because
and she was saying that there's some people that's still born with the
yeah,
whole, like, everything.
my last son was born with the biblical cord wrapped around his neck, and they had to go in there and then do a C-section unwrap, because if he don't get unwrapped, he would literally hang himself trying to come through the birth canal. So, but it also has some things that goes along with it. So I watched that birth, and I watched the doctors take him out and unwrap it before we cut it. Uh, I'm not too in depth on. I mean, I know about the various births, and they call them miraculous. It's miraculous that you ain't dead or didn't just have, because most time a breech birth is a hard birth. I mean, feet coming first. I had a daughter that was born. Feet came first, and my mother, being a midwife, said that when by her being born first, she would never crawl, and she never crawled. She would not get on her knees. She never crawled. From the time she got able, she walked. And people said, "No, I can prove that this girl never crosses. The only time she'll crawl before she leave the world, she will crawl. But right now, she ain't, and she's 50 something years old, and she ain't never crawled."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so those miraculous situations, I mean, they're unusual, and things come with it. Now, I don't know about something, but myself, I'm the seventh child of 10. I'm the only child to live. There was six before me, and then there was three after me, and I'm the only child that lived out of 10. And I came in the world with what they call a discerning spirit, and I was able to see things when I came in the world. Matter of fact, as a child, old folks would come to me and ask, "Is he the one?" They would ask me questions, and I've always give them answers. So I've been a part of the, shall I say, the high excellent realm of spirituality ever since I arrived in this dimension from the other dimension. And I would often wonder why, coming through the days of old, when certain things would go on, they would come to me. But that was a thing back in the day where people would get sores in their mouth. They call it thrash.
Mm-hmm.
They would come to me for me to blow in their mouth, and it would actually heal the thrash, you know. Or they come and ask me to spit on my hand and do this for them, and they would get healed. Now people say, "No, I've seen that, I've done it," and people used to come to my mother's house want to know. He used to call me, "Where's JoJo? I need him to come do this. I need to come do that." And at 12, I was reading the 52 card deck, telling people their live stories from the 52 cards. You know, and so I've been a part of divination. I've been a part of that so-called spiritual realm, or understanding the occult, as they call it, which means the hidden, most of my life. So when I came to IFA fitted right in, because it's not that it's an occult. It is the universal wisdom of life and how to travel your path.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so
Let me go. He's gonna break some more stuff down real quick, because I know that we did get into the history of it all, and I want to break down like some of the history that he talked about when IFA came over here versus Isheshe. I'm gonna play this real quick, so let's go into it. Just give a shout out to Texas Bama Infinite Energy Source, people that are coming in. Kun is the Orisha of the depths of the ocean, right? And I got to finally see what exactly happens when you get your initiation. And let me tell you something. Oba Oriente is a library, because and the thing is that you end up missing sometimes when you get initiated, like in other countries, is that with other languages you miss the conversations that are had between the elders. Mm-hmm. One thing that I got to see is how much knowledge, that these Oba Oriente really have. Because even the Oriente that I had, he was only 29. And also Babalawos. You have to memorize so many things. Songs, Odu, ceremony, everything. Let's get into what your origins are, where you came from, why is it? Where'd you come? Who are you? Who is Brother Oba? Who is Oba?
Okay, so like I said, my family has been involved in these traditions since 1968. These traditions, only the first Americans to get involved in this got initiated in 1959, right? So 8 years later, from the original people that got a hold of these traditions, my family has been involved 8 years after that. So by the time I was born, my grandmother was getting prepared to be initiated. I was born in 1977. My grandmother was initiated in 1979. So I don't really remember her without Osha, right? As far as I can remember, she's always had Obatala in the house. All of the adults in my family, my uncles, my aunts, and even one of my cousins were all initiated by 1987. So I had uncles that were trained as orientators. Both my uncles, my Uncle Charles, Bob Charles, he made the Osha in 1980. And when my mom was sick, she made me promise that I would go get myself a crown. She was like, "There's nothing else." She's like, "I never asked you to go to graduate slave information as they could." In them doing that, they got a grant, and in the grant, they were allowed to go to certain Caribbean spots in the diaspora so that they could try to contrast and compare some of the rituals and some of the customs. When they got to Haiti, the Mambos there told Catherine Dunham that they were waiting for her, and so on her second trip or something like that, she was initiated into Dumbala.
Catherine Dunham.
This was in the 1950s, like late 40s, early 50s. Dizzy Gillespie brought a man by the name of Chano Pozo from Havana to New York as for percussion. Chano Pozo introduced him to Machito, Chucho Valdez, Mango Santa Maria, all of these different Cuban performers that came. So they began to migrate to the United States. This is prior to the revolution. This is in the time of Batista. In 1959, a student by the name of Walter King, Osurgeon Adefumi I, got with a man by the name of Cristobal Oleana. Right? Cristobal Oleana was half Curacao, half from Curacao and half Cuban. He used to compete in these Rumba dance contests. In one of these dance contests, he won a trip to Havana to compete in another contest. When he went to compete, he danced so well that the people there invited him to a toke, but he thought he was going to a party. When he got there, they were playing drums and shakeras and people were getting possessed. And they told him that they were waiting for him to come back. So at this time, Baba Yashabiyah started the House of Dumbala. They had like a cadre of people that were intellectuals and they were occultists. They included Ed James, Cristobal Oleana, a woman by the name of Marie, Adefumi's first wife, Jan King. So these people were occultists. They were into occult. They studied. So in the conversation between Cristobal Oleana and King Adefumi, they came to the conclusion that they were doing this Yoruba thing in Cuba. And so he took him to Cuba. They went to Cuba. They went to Matanzas in 1959. At the same time, a Puerto Rican woman from New York by the name of Asunta Serrano was being set. She got initiated that same month, or a couple of weeks earlier. These people became the pillars of Orisha traditions in the United States. Now, at this time, the Nigerians were not giving Yoruba traditions to people because you have to understand it's connected to families and clans and tribes. So there was a group of people who did not like the Cuban aesthetic. They said it was too Spanish. They didn't like it because they were trying to get away from anything that was supposedly white or Catholic. And so these people began to go to Nigeria and look for ways to get initiated. Now, in the early days, from the 70s to the 80s, there were people, and they were usually scholastic people, people that were into academics, that they went to Nigeria and they became initiated. But what happens is from town to town in Nigeria, they have a different style of initiation and different customs, and it did not all match up at the same time. So what happened was...
Wasn't Desi Arnaz also a practitioner as well?
Yeah, he had a Bakalame. So what they did was they started going to Nigeria. Now, at the same time, my mother's godfather, by the name of Baba Lloyd Weaver, Olosunmi, who made Yemonja in the Bronx, he was working for CBS at the time. He was a film producer. And some friends of his said that there were more opportunities in Lagos, Nigeria for a black man in film. And so he migrated to Lagos after creating a very strong Ocha house in Brooklyn. When he got to Nigeria, he became involved with a lot of the politics because he kind of like was involved with the television. So when you understand Nollywood and all of the fact that the Nigerians have their own production thing, he is one of the people that taught them how to do that. So Baba Lloyd began to facilitate people who did not want to do Lukumi. So they would come to Nigeria and he would facilitate them and take them to the town or whatever region they said that this person necessarily had to make. Over time, the Nigerians realized that there was money in this racket of tradition. And so a few key players started to write books and they started to come and they started to create these environments, particularly for rich white people.
Were those book writers white or were they actual Babalawos in Nigeria? Were they white people?
What is that?
That wrote those books?
Huh?
Were those white people that wrote those books or were they like Nigerians that wrote the books?
Well, originally they were white folks. So like the most profound and prolific books on the Yoruba culture are written in German, actually. German, then secondly French, and then you get to Spanish, and then, you understand?
You know what? Now that I think about it, wasn't the Ocean Grove made a UNESCO site by a white woman? Yeah, wow. So
she saved Susan Wagner saved the Ocean Grove because she got there. It was a dump site.
Wow.
So this is how they got to Isheshe. So what happens is the Babalawo saw a profit in this. They could bring people to Nigeria, initiate them, but they had to get the people in the compounds to agree. So the compound people are not missionaries. There's nothing about these traditions that where we go on a missionary and we start telling people what they should come and do. So what they did was, because the people in the compounds, they don't make money, so because they don't leave. They're stuck in these compounds with these Orisha live. They got to take care of these Orisha. They are dedicated to it, right? So the Babalawos come along and they're like, listen, we're going to bring this person over here and you're going to initiate them to whatever it is. Let's say this in this grove, they got Yemonja. They're like, you're going to initiate the person to Yemonja, and then we're going to take the person to IFA. If you say something, we ain't feeding you because they're the ones making the moves, getting in and out. So the Orisha people became subject to the Babalawos, their racket. So that everybody that goes over there, so that you very rarely see somebody that got Isheshe that don't got IFA.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, the second part is, so what happened was, when people came back, they had no continuity. So like somebody got made in Oderemu, somebody got made in Oshogbo, somebody else got made in Ibadan, someone else got made in Ogun State, in Ilorin, right? So when you come back and you're in the States and you're like, yo, so did they do this to you? They're like, nah, they didn't do that to me, because each person had a different experience. So what the Babalawos did was they created an association, because first they had what they call these Ijos, which were these councils or these groups. And they were trying to get all of the Orisha people under the Ijo. Ijo, Rumila, blah, blah, blah. So then they came up with a word. So if you understand the language, there's a word in Yoruba, the word for shishe or sese is work. So if you put the letter I in front of something in Yoruba, it denotes that it has some kind of context to something ethereal. So for instance, you have ibaye, right? The word ibaye, the E in it refers to something that's ethereal. So now you take sheshe or shishe, which is a word for work. And if you put E in front of it, it becomes Isheshe. And what does Isheshe mean? It means holy work. So they came up with this so that they would have a name for the people, what kind of style of Ocha that they had. So, because Lukumi, what happened was in Lukumi, when the slaves started coming off the boats at a certain time, people were saying that there was I am the Araba of this, and I got this title. And the slaves like, yo, I don't know you from back home like that. I don't remember you. So what we're going to do is we're going to make us a rule. So they created what they call Regla Ocha. So that the Lukumi style of Ocha has a rule, there's rules and parameters to it. So that there are common denominators of nuances that must be performed for us to accept that you had a legitimate initiation.
Wow, so it's almost like the Osha in Cuba is you know what's so crazy is that when I got initiated, the Babalao said this is the origin.
Well, so okay, now there's a whole lot of scholastic and academic conversation. So the original conversation was that Lukumi was a word that the slaves used that meant my friend because they had made it across the water, and that they somehow had this fragmented concept of Orisha, and they came together and they kind of put it together in a puzzle. Now, unfortunately, and this is not about research of my own, but there's a book called Olukumi Kingdom, and it refers to the fact that there are a group of Yorubas that had all of the nuances and styles that we perform in Cuba. These people were taken out of Africa for a particular commodity because at the time they cultivated eflun. Eflun is originally made of a limestone chalk, and so there was a limestone quarry that. Imagine if you can imagine Detroit is a factory town. So you got a bunch of
limestone or salt or whatever,
right? But imagine you so let's just say for instance, when Detroit became big, everybody from the South migrated to Detroit for work, right? So you got people from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Louisiana, Arkansas. All these people come into Detroit to come get this work. But they bring their customs with them so that Detroit becomes its own melting pot and has its own style, right?
Right.
So this place, Olukumi, in Yoruba land, because it was so much work, people from all over West Africa came there to get work because we have this concept that West Africans didn't exchange amongst each other, which is not true. So if you can imagine that when any one of those empires, albeit Mali, Ghana, whatever, Songhai, there were people from other provinces and other places that came there for work. So in this cadre, these people created a system and a pantheon of, because somebody came from a specific town where Yemonja was there with their saving grace, and they brought that custom with them. Somebody else came and set up shrooms, they saving grace. So in this town is where they authenticated and created this pantheon of a hierarchy of which Orisha was above who and what in the genesis of them. You understand?
Right. That happened in Africa before it came to.
Before it came here. So then all of the scholars got to rewrite the books because this book, the Lukumi Kingdom, it talks about this group of people because the word Yoruba did not exist until 1840. It was not used by them. They did not call themselves Yorubas.
All right. So I wanted to bring that up. Okay. So because I know you talked about that, and he spoke on it too. So let's go. So Baba, what do you think about what he just said? Also, Ogun, you've been quiet. I thought you was here to shake it up. Okay.
Well, I like one thing I do is I respect my elders, and when wisdom speaks, inexperience listens. Even though I may know some things, I'm always open to learn more. And listening to the brother, he's still saying the same thing that we've been saying. You have a multitude of houses and a multitude of different things of doing things, and a multitude of people saying, oh, this person ain't got it, or that person ain't doing it right, or this, and it's childish to me. I really believe that if you go somewhere, if you be a part of any initiation or any Babalao's home, that's where you should stay. That's one of the reasons why they tell you that the initiation is a secret. This is a secret. Because if you get out here and you go to talking to people about your experience or what you're going through, then that person say, oh, no, that's not, look at me, that's not Isheshe, that's not Santeria, so, and it casts doubt on the person, and the person sitting up there was balanced. Now you have made him unbalanced because he's not in agreement with what your house is teaching. And that's the issue that I have. Whatever you're doing, if it's working for you and the people that respect you, fine. Don't defecate on the other people that's working Buddha. Don't defecate on the other people that claiming they're working Ifa or what have you, if it's bringing balance to their life. I love the way he's explaining historically his roots and who he knows and how things came about. That's fine. But at the end of the day, he's still telling you that there are various people in various houses and various ways of doing things. So nobody, because the tradition is orally, nobody has the pinnacle of what it is.
Ashe. All right. Baba, you had something to say?
I see, and right on point. This is why we came forward, because those many variables of the thing they call it Ifa is only cultural houses and what you do to get in that house. That to me was not Ifa. I tell you, Ifa is the communicator. No matter what your house believe or do, if you join that fraternity or that order, this is what you do. If you're gonna be them, you're happy. But don't make that be Ifa, because that is not Ifa. That is a cultural thing. Ifa, my thing is that Ifa is the communication between the celestial and terrestrial. It's all about you. It ain't about how many Bob allows, how many is in this house, this, that, and the other. They make one thing a burden rather than an asset. To me, Ifa is an asset and not a burden. And don't burden with a lot of do's and don't. If you don't do this and that, you can't be with your ancestors. You can't do this. Or a woman can't divine with the Pele. She got to do this. You put a lot of, as church, do's and don'ts and taboos on a thing where there is none. And then you put all these attitudes and things on there, like the brother saying, every group put together a series of rituals and things to do certain things, and that adds more burden, because some places may not have the items that you need to achieve certain orishas or certain initiations. Now you got to find a substitute. Is the substitute going to be sufficient? Well, you got to ask Ifa. I mean, you got to get a yes or no. So we put a lot of burden and responsibility on a universal science that shouldn't be there. That's how I see it. Now,
So do you think that that IFA is a fraternal organization?
No, I do not. No, I do not. Is the cell phone a fraternal organization? Anybody can use.
Well, can anybody use it? Can anyone use IFA, or only those that are trained to do IFA?
Because we set it up
So,
like that.
And then if anybody can't use it, and then people are I would say gatekeeping it for a certain reason,
Financial burden on it. It's just like I can tell anybody, if there's a book on it, you can learn it. If you can learn it, you can do. I understand there's stipulations things you must do, because we made it that way, because it started out oral and everybody kept their own notes. But who say that yours is correct in alignment with the cosmology of the universe? You know, you got to go.
So would you say? Right, right.
When I was getting ready, prepared to go, they wanted me to go to Cuba to become a Babalao. They were talking about $25,000 plus going to Cuba. I say bullshit. I'm not going down there to get beat by run through no gas and get beat till I pass out, get this done, and then I come back and I still don't know, when I already know how to read the old dudes. I never forget, I was at Chief Payoma's house. He was throwing the Opele, and my wife was reading them as he was throwing. Because I trained her, because if you don't know what they're doing when they throw the Opele and you're looking at these different patterns, they can tell you anything. I taught, yeah, you know, and I was sitting and watched Oreste when he would throw the Opele, right? And I see what he said, even though he spoke in Spanish, I would keep that pattern in my head and go look it up. Because if I can go and verify the throw, I can understand what's coming. That's why I went and bought the book. I bought the book, the first book, I got it from Bascom. He got a lot of the patterns, but his definition was different. Then I got a collection of various Babalaos, and their interpretations of the old dudes are correct, but how they interpreted it determines some things. Then I found out, as I went from the 4 shells and the 16 and all of that, that these you can take these patterns. Then I wind up and brother or Goombang can say, we are the few people that can throw the double chain and interpret. Most everybody throw the one chain for everybody. This is not a one size fit all. Everything has its place. Like you read, you got the feminine and the masculine. Can you imagine a man going to the doctor and getting an over exam?
No.
Okay. You know, you know, and I found out in IFA and in the universal concept of it tells you that there's one order started with Akbe from the right. There's one group started with Akbe from the left. So you throw one side from the right and read from the right to left. One you throw from the left and you leave from left to right. And they're called the feminine masculine throws. They don't teach that. That was revealed to me years ago.
And that sounds like quantum computing right there. Now you're getting into quantum computing because now
right.
Because what is QUA is 4, right?
Yeah, so that's what it says.
So you have binary, and then you have a quad, quantum, and
exactly.
So what happens is that now you are getting into what they're now going to be doing as quantum computing. So now
that was taught to me from the spirit realm. This was because in order to get a better percent, you got to understand the physical, the masculine and feminine energy coming together rather than one place. And I told Goombang about it, and I showed him, man, wow. Then I showed him how it was given to me, how to do this flow, you know. And then we talked about it, and I'm going like, you're right, it's quantum. And then the University of Knowledge will be found. It talks about that. Well, I don't know no Bible law around here that throws two chains and read it the way it's supposed to be read, because everything can't be read the same way, because each order changes depending on the direction that you throw the chain or the shells, you know.
And see, and here, and then we get into, so what do you think about this? It's called a letter of the year. Are you guys familiar with the letra de año?
Nope.
Okay.
All right. So what happens every year? Okay. Each in Africa, in Cuba, in America, they have this thing called a letra de año, and this is the predictions for each for the year for each different landmass, right?
Yeah.
So this is Cuba. They have one for Miami. They have one for that's for America. They have one for Africa. And so this is to like give an understanding of what's going to happen and the predictions. Also, each house has their own letter of the year.
Right.
Supposed to happen as well. Like there's supposed to be a IFA. Now, they always do this on January the 2nd. But then you talk about the lunar calendar. Are they doing this at the wrong time? Because
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Go ahead.
Because when I was doing it with Arrested, they would do it around December 31st, and we would do these rituals and things. But once again, if it's not in line with cosmology and with the universe, then you're practicing a artificial concept. Everything must be in alignment with how the things operate. We know that the new year don't start in no January. How do we get the so-called January for New Year? It came from the Greco-Romans and went under Augustus, under Julius Caesar, and they killed him. He did it in 46 and they killed him in 44. Then you got this guy called Pope Gregory. He got a guy by Christopher Clavius to come up with it, and we're working off another man's concept. That is not IFA. So I went back and found out about these African sisters who developed the first calendar around 44,000 BC, considered according to the lunar, the menstrual period and the lunar cycle. It put me in time with nature. Now we must do things in time with nature, be in time with nature. I can't do it the way the society say do it and be in time. Then we find out, that most of the so-called symbols in the zodiac, you got some missing out that should be there. That's why I asked the brother tonight in his astrotheology, what you gonna do with Alpha Eucharist when Alpha Eucharist is actually between Sagittarius and Scorpio, and the sun goes.
So do you think that women should be read by the lunar calendar and men should be on the solar?
They all are read by the lunar because that's where it come from. And even in your so-called Bible, it tells you that the moon is for seasons and the sun does the setting. That is Psalms 104, verse 19. Like the boy say, Astro, it's in the book. And everything starts out of darkness to light. And it talks about that the moon job is to give us the season. How many weeks of that between these? It's 13 weeks between each season. 91 days, 364, not 365. When you find out that people have jacked with the calendar, they jacking with your spirituality. There it says, he made the moon for mark the seasons, and the sun is time for setting. It didn't tell you to go do sun, which was made the sun superior, but those that follow nature follow the matriarch of the moon. And that's our problem. We're not following the right sign, and therefore everything we do is half-ass jacked up. When we created the calendar, they say because we follow the three, what is it? 60, what is the clock? The 60, whatever it is, and we are out of time with the earth and cosmology. How many weeks between each season? How many? We say it's 7 weeks, 7 days in a week, 4 weeks, 4 weeks in a month, 52 weeks a year. It won't work because 4 into 52 is 13. So even we talk about our days, everything is out of balance. And when you do that, your whole body, that's why they're trying to stop this thing with moving the clock up, moving it back, because it throws your psychotic rhythm out of balance, and folk get all messed up. You heard of you, and I know you. That's why they're trying to pass a law now. Go back to standard time, because when time change, your body change.
So someone asked, how do we know we're from Africa? Just a question.
You're not from Africa. You're from IFA. The word Africa means a conquered name. You ain't got to know where you're from, but know you're on this earth. You know surely that you're on this earth and you're in this place at this time. You gotta quit getting hung up on what they say you are. What about where you are now? What about where and what are you doing where you are now?
Mm-hmm.
I go.
You know, we worry about the wrong thing. My thing is, I'm not over there, Kibula. I'm in Tulum, Louisiana, and I've got to make my presence known and survive. I don't care what my mama's mama, grandmama's, papa's mama did and how they got over him. My thing is, what is Baba Yashabiyah going to do to keep his balance and move forward? That will be an asset to him, and then bring me and my family to a point in life where we can be successful or deal with our assignment in life. We worry about the wrong thing too much. We focus on the wrong thing too much. We waste too much time worried about what other people think and do and wearing these labels rather than finding out what is my purpose and what is my assignment, because I made a commitment when I came from the Diana sphere to make this earth a better place. Have I did this? Am I going to be like Methuselah, live 900 years and don't do SHI, live and die? You know, come on now. What is
just real quick, Marcus and Jasmine, do you guys have any more questions? Because I just could remove you off of the main stage and let you guys just watch and listen. But do you guys have any more questions?
No, he answered it just now.
Okay, I'm just going. You're gonna still be in the back chat, but just I'm gonna remove you so we can Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Marcus, you have any questions?
Oh, no questions.
All right, so you're gonna be in the back chat, but I really want to focus on these two brothers because they're about to get into. We're about to get into some real stuff. All right, Ogun baby, you said I go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead,
so you were showing earlier. You were showing that each continent location had an Odu. All of them are different Odus, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I was showing. No, I didn't. I was showing the body in the Odus. I didn't even get deep into the actual continent.
No. You were talking about the Odus that go out for the year. Each continent has an
Yes. Odu. Oh, yes. La letra de año. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And all of them are different.
Yes.
So the thing about that, and it's always broadcast online. The thing about that is that, you know, it's a cast, and when it's a cast, that's just what it is. It's a cast, and the people that understand cast understand that that means it's a spell, and whatever that energy is for that region or whomever reads that cast, that's what they come up under or in a cast. So
A
they
spell.
take it, Ashe. So they experience that in their reality. So that it goes back to who's right and who's wrong, whose idea is bringing you into balance, and whose idea is bringing you somewhere else. It just depends on what resonates with you. So if the cast, if I'm not mistaken, for here, I think it was Osai Ogunda, if I'm not mistaken, right, Baba?
I say.
Yeah. So if here it is, the cast is Osai Ogunda, we've learned that we take the E-ray and the EB of it, you know. So it talks about change, it talks about violence, it talks about progress, it talks about uh, technology, it talks about quick tempered people, it talks about a lot of things, and that's what it was for the states was supposedly EB. So and that's what causes the people to that understand the culture to focus on EB. So that's what they get: car wrecks, bad technology, bad relationships, etc., not realizing that it's the cast, and they're focusing on the negative of the cast instead of the positive of the cast. And that's the part that I wanted to elaborate on, because every year, you're right, they do a cast, but I stick with the cast of my house.
I know that's right.
The cast of
You
my
know,
house.
and I want to interject you. And every house should have a priest or priestess that can do that for your house to keep you on watch for who your house. When you cast for your house, that old dude is for your house. That energy is operating in your house, and therefore your responsibility is to that energy to fulfill that house purpose. It
I
ain't
say,
everybody. It ain't everybody. You know.
Right.
If I said
So
everybody,
there's one main one that's done for everybody. Then there's
well,
ones that you do for your own self. And we need to and we need to find out how to cast for our own house.
and
And
that's why
you not necessarily need to be initiated to cast for your own house.
no.
Let's get into that. Let's go.
Yeah, because there are certain way of casting that is that does not require initiative. Initiative required when you get into deeper things, going deep into things. But for yes and no answers, most time we use the Kara shells to get that yes and no answer. And there is a interpretation that you can use that simplify that. But then if you want to get into, and then when you get the initiation, that was to learn how to read the Marine Daily Goon. The axis 21, and you take 5 of them out, and then you use the 16 when you throw those, what's up and what's down. Like the brother was saying, that will be taught to those that would reach at a certain level of initiative. They tell you unless you have the initiation of Ogun, you can't use a knife. Well, hell, if you're in the kitchen, got to cut some chicken, you got to call Ogun up where you can cut up some chicken.
see if he come. See if
You
he
know,
come.
see if you go. They say if you can't do this because you got to get you. So if I can't do this because I don't have that. We got to
I
learn.
go.
You go, yeah.
Okay. The knife thing. Yeah, I've been told something similar to that. I was told that I couldn't own a gun or a machete, and I have a passion for guns. Later on, I was told that, oh, you can own a gun. Is that the particular time that they were telling you that you couldn't own a gun or a machete is that you were immature? And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll roll with that. I can understand that. But the overall thing of what I really, really love about learning how to cast is You get to find out for yourself and be honest with yourself and work out your own, like the Bible says, work out your own salvation. You get to work out your own salvation and figure out your own character and walk in your integrity, not the integrity of somebody else, your integrity.
I go.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was about to say something.
You know, I tell people sometimes you got to understand the situation. Here's the individual in prison, don't have access to none of this stuff, and he's trying to practice a particular religion that requires him to do certain things. He have no access to it, and he's trying to get answers. What can he do to why can't he divine, get some rocks, mark them, and divine to get answers like most folks do? But you in prison, you have no ancestral altars. You ain't had a lot to have nothing because it's considered contraband. How do you communicate then?
Pennies. Pennies, rocks.
Yeah, you know, that's why I loved about Chief Metahochi. He divine with damn palm. I mean, not palm, but acorns, anything. You see, pennies, nickels, dimes. He found ways to do it because there are alternatives. Remember, everybody came over here came with a different idea about the altar. What is an altar? What is an altar?
I go.
You may.
To me, an altar is just that, a place where you alter your consciousness, because you know. Yeah, I say.
You know, we build all these fabulous items that requires constant attention when the altar is the altar of the heart and mind. What I put on the altar of my heart and mind, and how do I balance that energy? It's all about a spiritual energy movement. We make it physical. We make it this because we like to see things and touch things as that's in this terrestrial. I can't see it and feel it. It don't exist. That ain't true. Hell, the wind blowing, you feel it, but you don't know from which it came.
Indeed.
But yeah, I was saying too is that a lot of times, like I kind of found I would get like, you know, when you get a reading from a Babalawo, I begin like say, okay, I need to be very careful about what Babalawo when I get readings from a Babalawo, because it's gonna be a sacrifice I'm gonna have to do. It's gonna cost me some money. And I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I need to like not be getting too many readings from the Babalawo, because I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to have to like, right, you know what I'm saying? Every time, so you better off figuring out how to divine for yourself, and you get some coconut. You can just break a coconut in four, and you know the coconut got the white side and the dark side. You break that coconut in the four, and then they have
go to work.
And yes or no, you get to find out yes or no. Should I do this? Yes or no? And a lot of times it's like people probably would say that's a lesser form of divination, but you know what? I found out, and actually Oba talked about it. Even in Africa, the children they have like their little small one. They have that 4 thing divination. That even the children do divination. Why is divination important? Because you know what? In Christianity, they tell you, okay, divination is a bad thing, right? You should just rely on Jesus and just hope that everything works out. However, go ahead. Come on, Scam Chan. You want to come up and ask some questions? Come on up. I just put the thing in there. StreamYard's up there. But I'm saying is that sometimes you just don't know what you do. You want to have an answer. You know what I'm saying? And some people flip a coin. You know what they say? Yes or no, heads or tails. You know what I'm saying? That's a form of divination.
Especially at a football game, they choose who's gonna receive. They toss that coin in their heads or tail, hit the ground. Okay, that's a form of divination.
Exactly. And so the thing is that like when people are using divination, we don't even realize they're using it. But bottom line is that there's nothing wrong with divination. When you don't know which way to go or what to do, it's okay to like just say, you know what, let me find out another way. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I laugh at this, especially among Christianity. They say the King David was the king of rights. Yet when in 1 Samuel, I think when he got in trouble, and I showed him he got in trouble, and he went to the priest to get the ephod because they was going to kill him. Even we did that other night, a sister, and and he inquired, and the ephod of the Urim told him what to do and what was going to happen. That's the same thing. And I said today, y'all might have missed. I said ephod concept was at the crucifixion of Jesus because the guy named Cyrus of Quirinius was from Niger. He's the man supposed to carry the cross for Jesus. The next thing they did was what? They divined for the robe of Jesus. What do you think they did? They pulled down stars or did they cast?
They cast.
That's lots.
Yeah, that was ephod.
Why do you think that they try to make this thing about like against divination? Why do you think they make it a bad thing to do divination?
Well, because they don't understand the book. Remember, it was the God that gave the concept to the priesthood according to Exodus. He said, if you're going to talk to me, then you got to use this to communicate. And that's why it says in Hosea that I will give you a pure language to consult with me with. It wasn't about talking. It was about the art of geometry and divination. You can look it up.
And all divination is a numerical system. And that numerical system, it gives a person number. And I tried to break it down when I showed the actual divination. When I show it right here, the 20, I said this is a database. So when you're even on when you get on your computer right now and you searching and you're doing a form of divination, whether you know it or not. I had an entire debate, okay, on my channel. Has AI always existed, or is it something new? And I said, no, it's always existed. Why? Because before AI ever existed, we had a database. We had a way to go into a search engine, pull out an answer. And that's all AI is really built on. That's all a search engine.
And it's called IFA. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop that. But if I ask you, I'll go about the thing called African fractal. Did you pull that up? Because the university let the guy have the money on. They're going to find out the answer to the mathematical binary code on how to understand the infinite of the universe. He didn't say what. Like he said, they had to find the system. And in that guy's presentation, he said the guy got so close, the fool lost his mind going to sanitarium because he got to play around with our stuff. And it's called African fractal. Could you pull that up, please?
Yeah, so we're going into it right here. So
yeah,
the binary. So they talk about it in like a little really nerdy language, but the bottom line is that
the symbols are very well preserved. So each of these symbols has 4 bits. It's a 4-bit binary word. You draw these lines in the sand randomly, and then you count off. And if it's an odd number, you put down 1 stroke, and if it's an even number, you put down 2 stroke. And it's very rapidly. And I couldn't understand where they were getting. They only did the randomness 4 times. I couldn't understand where they were getting the other 12 symbols. And they wouldn't tell me. They said, no, I can't tell you about this. I said, well, look, I'll pay you. You can be my teacher, and I'll come each day and pay you. I said, it's not a matter of money. This is a religious matter. And finally, out of desperation, I said, well, let me explain George Cantor in 1877. And I started explaining, why I was there in Africa. And they got very excited when they saw the Cantor set. And one of them said, come here, I think I can help you out here. And so he took me through the initiation ritual for a Brahmana priest. And of course, I was only interested in the math. So the whole time he kept shaking his head going, I didn't learn it this way. But I had to sleep with a kola nut next to my bed, buried in sand, and give 7 coins to 7 lepers, and so on. And finally, he revealed the truth of the matter.
You see, I ain't just like a matter of fact with this. I had to do all this bullshit. I had to do this bullshit and everything, but I just didn't give a fuck about any of that, whatever the hell was going on. Fuck that. But I just want to know the math of it all. Like, I mean, I had to fucking give rape 3 versions and eat and kill a fucking a snake. But anyway, I don't care. It's not the math. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, well, he had one thing in mind. I want to find out.
I don't even care about what y'all's tradition, what y'all. What y'all little ceremony is. I just want to know the math, bro.
Yeah, you heard what he said, and that's them.
I had to sleep with a cold underneath me and whatever and so on. I just want to know the math. I just want to. So when you read these books by these authors, understand that a lot of time they just want to know the math. I just want to know what. They don't want to know anything else but whatever the hell they came in there to get, and they got what they got, and now he's up here on a podium doing a TED talk. Yeah, that's crazy.
And he getting paid. You can believe that.
Listen to how he like wait
degree in African spirituality, and all they gave him was one hand. All he got was one hand.
Man, listen to how egotistical this is. Come on now.
In Africa, and they got very excited when they saw the Cantor set.
Very excited.
And one of them said, "Come here. I think I can help you out here." And so he took me through the initiation ritual.
Hold on. First, we gotta stop saying "come here" and "come to the side." We gotta say stop all the bullshit. Stop. Well, come here. I'm gonna tell you. Even though everybody else didn't tell you, I'm gonna tell you what it is. And he didn't. He didn't even mention the dude that said. So he up there getting all the glory and up there teaching everybody else. Didn't even tell who the guy was that gave him the secret. To say, you know what? This was my teacher, so-and-so, Allahu, whatever his name was.
No honor.
It was some random dude that said, oh, come here, I'll tell you what it is. And then he get to get up here and be a doctor of mathematics, whatever.
African factor.
Come on now. Are you serious?
When a priest. And of course, I was only interested in the math. So the whole time he kept shaking his head going, I didn't learn it this way. But I had to sleep with a cola nut next to my bed, buried in sand, and give 7 coins to 7 lepers, and so on. And finally, he revealed the truth of the matter. And it turns out it's a pseudo-random number generator. They're using deterministic chaos. When you have a 4-bit symbol, you then put it together with another one sideways. So even plus odd gives you odd. Odd plus even gives you odd. Even plus even gives you even. Odd plus odd gives you even. It's addition modulo 2, just like in the parity bit check on your computer. And then you take this symbol and you put it back in. So it's a self-generating diversity of symbols. They're truly using a kind of deterministic chaos in doing this. Now, because it's a binary code, you can actually implement this in hardware. What a fantastic teaching tool that should be in African engineering schools. And the most interesting thing I found out about it was historical. In the 12th century, Hugo of Santillana brought it from Islamic mystics into Spain. And there it entered into the alchemy community as geomancy, the divination through the earth. This is a geomantic chart drawn by for King Richard II in 1390.
Man, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's my tell people all the time. We are everywhere, and we sit around there and don't realize how important that we are as a people and our process of information of IFA. That's why I love it. And
they just gave it away. They just gave it away, bro.
He paid for it. He had to pay for the initiation, and then he got a scholarship or a grant. It's called a I did say a while ago where he got it from. So many millions of dollars to go over there.
Endowment or whatever.
Yeah, to go over there to study this, and it was what was it called? He'll tell you in there what kind it was. He goes over there and he spends about a year to learn this, and they carry him around. It's called a Fulbright deal. Goes around this thing, come back with a doctorate degree in African science, and he only got part of the information.
Look, Leibniz, the German mathematician, talked about geomancy in his dissertation called De Combinatoria. And he said, well, instead of using 1 stroke and 2 strokes, let's use a 1 and a 0. And we can count by powers of 2, right? 1s and 0s, the binary code. George Boole took Leibniz's binary code and created Boolean algebra, and John von Neumann took Boolean algebra and created the digital computer. So all these little PDAs and laptops, every digital circuit in the world started in Africa. And I know Brian Eno says there's not enough African in computers, but I don't think there's enough African history in Brian Eno. So let me end with just a few words about applications that we've found for this. And you can go to our website. The applets are all free. They just run in the browser. Anybody in the world can use them.
We're not fixing to promote that because
no. But the point is that the man admit that is the science of IFA that he running the world today. We sitting around like it's some kind of witchcraft or voodoo. People, please get them
right. And the white people go over there and build entire systems around it. And then we want to say it's witchcraft.
A Fulbright grant on what it, but You can look it up. It ain't cheap. It's we talking about millions of dollars to go and learn something that we can learn, that we're taught as babies coming up in the family. If everybody would do the right thing and teach everybody, would teach a form that we have for a divination to get answered. All this praying, because they didn't pray back in the day. They would go to the priest, he would divine and give them answers. That's why I say it was 613 laws, and in every law, they knew what to do to get certain things. Even when it comes down to buying land or going to war, you know. Why in the book of Ruth, when they finally were going to plot to kill some of them, she got the ephod and divine and told them how to avoid going to war, you know. And they want to demonize. Anytime by one thing, they want to demonize your stuff, and then they want to sanctify theirs or exalt theirs above when they got their stuff from you. You know, and we need to quit letting folks tell us stuff without doing what? Reading, research, and review. You know,
straight up. And we need to understand that, you know what, we need to like get out of like thinking, reading this book and
get out of spookism. Get out of spookism.
Jasmine said, "Aren't we the altar first?" Exactly.
Yeah.
I say
you are the altar.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And okay, so when we before we leave here, I want to not only just be giving information about IFA, but also give like some things to help people. Like, okay, so we are the altar. How do we fortify our temple?
Okay.
Would you like to go first, Bob?
I'll come after you.
Okay. Well, me personally, I do affirmations every day. And I really do see the manifestation of my affirmations every day. You know, you really, some of them take you seldomly, but you know, when you see them, you're like, oh my Lord. And you really start developing a dedication to them, especially when it's dealing with your mental. So I would say to make sure you find time for yourself before you begin your day. I don't care if you read, I don't care if you sing, I don't care what you do. You should find something to do before you start your day to bring balance to your thinking before you deal with what the world has to offer. So
we shouldn't just grab our phone and start scrolling.
No, I wouldn't. I don't recommend that, because what you're doing when you do that, you actually are channeling in fresh spirits to begin your day. And you may think that it's minute, but man, it is not minute, family. You are lit. Let me tell you something about a word called entertainment. Y'all familiar with that word, right?
Yeah.
So check this out. You enter in, then you get tamed, and then you get turned, and then you get mentored in the direction of what this thing you're watching is producing in your life. Entertainment. So that's what a lot of people use their phone for, entertainment, not realizing they're getting mentored in the direction of what they're watching. So be careful, man. I mean, I know you're going to do what you want to do, but when it comes down to your balance, I say you should start your day with getting your dome balanced.
I go. That's why they call it television at first. They taught it because a lot of things escapes your conscious and go to your subconscious. It's called subliminal seduction. It programs you inside. That's why the first thought to come to head when your head leaves the pillow, that generally governs your day. And if you get up with an attitude, man, I don't feel like going that damn planet today, man. I'm tired of these folks. You already put that energy in motion. You're gonna have a bad day. I mean, because you already put that out, I'm gonna have a bad day. And you being a creative being based off etheric and electromagnetic, the things you speak into the universe, to the cosmos, that's what's gonna come out.
I say.
So as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you're thinking this stuff, trust me, it's gonna show up.
I say.
You know. So that's why we tell people, be careful what you say, what you think, and what you do, because all of them has a what you call it, a return policy. You said it, I'm coming back.
I say.
You know.
And I wanted to say something real quick too, because you know what, I used to have my phone playing like different stuff when I'm sleeping. One time I had it playing. It was so these affirmations, right? And I woke up and I was like semi awake and semi asleep.
Yep.
Now, when I was awake, it made sense. It was like, I am so and so, I am this, that, the other. But when I woke up halfway asleep, it was like, and I said, what the hell? And it took a second for my brain to catch up and make these things into words. So I will tell you this. When you are asleep, okay, your brain is not processing words. Your brain is using itself to, make your body still run and run that, right? It's your brain is not on. It's not turned on to that the sensor of understanding language is not activated. Okay. So you have to be very careful about trying to program yourself in your sleep. Take that phone and turn it off. I mean, I would say unplug that sucker, because the phones have like a 5G to it.
Yep.
That will invade your space, all type of stuff. It's not good to have the phone on. And then some people will call the phone a black mirror. We got to be very careful about what we put into the black mirror. You know what I'm saying? We got to be very careful about like letting this thing be on when we're asleep, because you don't know even what it's even processing, and because these phones are transmitting. I mean, it's transmitting all types of things to us in our sleep, whether we're watching it or not, whether it be radiation or all these other things. So I would say is that I would not use the phone to try to program myself while I'm sleeping. Unless you're, go ahead.
That's why Mark Zuckerberg said they spent so many $1 million in Silicon Valley that even the ringtone is designed to bring you into a certain area in the psychic, that when the phone rings, it does certain things to your psychic. And if you look up how much money they spend every year in creating certain ringtones, and now we can't even leave a room without that. If you lose your phone, you damn near lose your mind, because it's programmed, and there's an algorithm that they've created that when that phone is out now, it's doing the thinking for you. So this God name is Google. Google it. Man,
God, Google.
A series, Lexus, do this, and I'm going like, are you crazy? But we find ourselves being conditioned and trained to follow that program or algorithm.
We need to get back into our natural selves. We cannot allow technology.
You just said a mouthful. You just said it. Woo! Somebody ought to say so. Hey, Ivan.
Yes, sir.
Hook me see my side cow so I can ride 100.
You wrong for that.
Look on see my side cow so I can ride 100.
You wrong for that, Papa. Oh man.
Spoke a word.
Yeah, she said a mouthful. Indeed.
Yeah, man. Oh man. I'm hoping, sister, that we were able to bring some kind of foresight, insight to the subject principally far. There's much more we can get into, but I love the way it was presented tonight. I'm hoping the people listening will be able to go back and don't believe nothing we've said. Do the research.
I say.
Don't believe nothing we've said tonight. Do your own research and come to your own conclusion as how IFA will fit in your life to improve the quality of your life.
And I would also say is that initiation without education is abomination.
Abomination.
Yeah, it is. That is.
Before you spend that 10, that 20, that whatever it is, and you know what? All it is the rites of passage, right?
That's
so
all it
imagine paying $20,000 to go get baptized at the church. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now
Yep.
at that time, listen, they're going to treat you like a king for that moment. We lost our rites of passage. We don't have our own rites of passage. But what you could also do within your own home is create a rites of passage. You
Right.
don't necessarily have to buy into someone else's rites of passage.
I say. Well said.
You don't have to buy into it, and that's why I love Queen Tai because she says, "Listen, I was born into my own understanding," and she did a whole live just talking about that. You know what I'm saying? And I think Ogun's trying to come back up on the screen, but
it's not working. I'm here though. I'm here.
Well, before we go, so you gotta play my song "Money." You got to do that for me.
Oh yes. So listen. Now let me tell you guys something. Now I am heavily into. Listen, I love. What's his name? Brother Reverend Knight.
You're a smart young lady. You're a very smart young lady.
And I get up every morning and I get into the tub because I love the water. Even though. So I want to share this with you guys because this is something I do, and whether or not you guys maybe it's something that maybe other people can just get into as well. And I want to share this with y'all, and I'm gonna speed it up a little bit because I know because this is a pretty long thing, but I don't know why he got so much flack. You know what I'm saying when he was around
because he was before his time.
He was ahead of his time. Yeah, he was ahead of his time. Exactly. So I'm gonna play this for y'all because I really appreciate Reverend Ike for his time here. He's an ancestor, so we're gonna give him his flowers at the moment for what he's done because he was one of the first people talking about affirmations, I believe. Yeah,
indeed. To our people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at what you desire. When you see it, bless it, love it. When you see people pass by in those big fine cars, bless them, love them.
Mm-hmm.
When you see people strolling down the street holding hands, bless them, love them silently. Also, you condition your mind for money by opening your mind to money-making ideas. Open your mind to money-making ideas. And I'm going to give you this affirmation, and it's very simple, but it will work wonders. It is this. I open my mind to money-making ideas. Say that with me. I open my mind to money-making ideas. When you do that, your subconscious just begins to pull in money-making ideas. And as I say, money-making ideas are so commonplace, you're walking over them all the time, but you just don't see them because you don't open your mind to them. There's some of you sitting in here right now who may not even have a grade school education, but you have multi-million-dollar talents. There's some of you in here, and I've told you this before, there are many of you in here that can fry chicken better than Colonel Sanders. But you see, he had the idea for merchandising it. And there's some of you here that can make hamburgers better than McDonald's. And that isn't difficult to do. But McDonald had the merchandising idea. Mm-hmm. And that's what made the difference between a hamburger and a multi-billion-dollar industry. You see, that's another thing about people. So many times people think that in order to make a lot of money that you've got to have some fantastic idea or some fabulous talent or some fabulous amount of money. And I've told you time and time again that millions and billions have been made out of just the simplest idea. Mm-hmm. One of the most successful corporations trading stocks on the New York Stock Exchange is McDonald's, all based on nothing but a damn hamburger. And it's not that great a hamburger either. Can you imagine that? See what I'm telling you? What's the difference? The idea. The merchandising idea.
Gotcha.
I have one housekeeper. She's always here. I won't call her name. But there's some things that she cooked that are just out of this world. And with the right merchandising idea, there's no telling what could be done. There's some of you sitting here with just simple, everyday talents worth millions. And how do you
worth millions, y'all? Worth millions.
Ideas by opening your mind. And just a simple statement: I open my mind to money-making ideas. It will set you up.
I open my mind to money-making ideas,
the
y'all.
Marriott chain of hotels,
Indeed.
which is a multi-billion-dollar industry now, started from a root beer stand in Washington, D.C.
Root beer, A&W.
And many of the great money-making industries came from just little simple ideas. But the big mistake that people make, as I say, is to think that in order to make money, you got to have some grandiose scheme.
Every morning, I was like, yeah, every morning.
Or some world-shaking something. Place your hands in the receptive position and just simply say, I open my mind to right ideas. I open my mind to money-making ideas.
Money.
In Atlanta the other day, I tasted some peach preserves. It's made by somebody in the kitchen. Because I'm money conscious, I tasted and I said, wow, think of the money that could be made off of this. I said it would be expensive, but you know, there are still those people who want better things and who are willing to pay for it and who can pay for it. And, you know, don't let all this talk about cutback. The only people that are going broke are those people who have conditioned their minds to go broke. They're selling more Rolls Royces than ever. I was at the factory the other day in Detroit, the Cadillac factory, and they told me that last summer, they gave me the month, I think it was in the month of June. I went there somewhere in July, I believe. And they said that that following month, which was June, they sold more Cadillacs than ever in the history of Cadillac. The teachings that I give you on this come from a different level of mind. It doesn't simply come from the intellect. And it will help you, will be a blessing to you. So that's another thing that we have to do in conditioning our minds for what we want. Remember that it is a constant work that you have to do. This is what Jesus meant when he said, I must be about the Father's business. You see, the Father's business is keeping your mind conditioned for good. Remember that. The Father's business is keeping my mind conditioned for good. Together, the Father's business is keeping my mind conditioned for good. That's the Father's business.
I like that.
The Father's business is casting forth the good spell, the gospel. You see, and I must do this constantly. Because as I say, from some direction or the other, your mind is definitely going to be conditioned. And the world mind will condition your mind for poverty, for sickness, for failure. This is why you must consciously condition your mind for health, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money.
God's sake.
So nobody has to teach you to be poor. You don't have to put forth any effort to learn that. Plenty of people around that will condition you for that. And you'll get that automatically. But to condition yourself for success and prosperity, you have to do some conscious work in that field. Let's stand now and have a good treatment.
Wait, notice, hold on.
A mind.
Before we do this affirmation, notice he didn't say let's bow down. He said let's stand.
Yeah.
Let's stand.
Indeed.
Matter of fact, let's just have a general mind conditioning treatment for everything good. For health, happiness, love, success, and prosperity. Because these are the riches of life. In reviewing some of the upcoming television programs before coming here tonight, one contains that sermon that I preached all over the country this year, how to be rich in every way. And again, the riches of life I define as health, happiness, love, success, and prosperity. And money. Now, this is not something that you do just every other day. Because your mind is constantly receiving and transmitting. You remember that, constantly. And your mind receives that which is like unto its thought. Place your hands in the receptive position. Repeat this with me. Right here and right now. I consciously condition my mind for the good which I desire. Right now, I condition my mind for health by recognizing that God in me is my health. Right now, sickness is not the truth of me. Health is the truth of me. Soundness of mind is the truth of me. Feeble-mindedness is not the truth of me. Forgetfulness is not the truth of me. God has not given me the spirit of fear, but God has given me the spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. A sound mind is the truth of me. Health is the truth of me. Strength is the truth of me. Weakness is not the truth of me. Disease is not the truth of me. God's perfection, God's soundness, God's wholeness, God's completeness, God's totality are the truth of me. Thank you, God, in me for health. I condition my mind for health right now. I consciously condition my mind for happiness. Depression is not the truth of me. Discouragement is not the truth of me. The joy of the Lord is my strength. The cheerfulness of God is my strength. Thank you, God, in me for this happiness. And I share this happiness with everyone in my world. Thank you, God, in me for happiness. Love is the truth of me. There is nothing unforgiving in my heart. I cannot afford to hold anything against anybody. I cannot afford the results of unforgiveness. Love is the truth of me. And this love brings me together with all of the right people for every right purpose. Thank you, God, in me for love. I condition my mind for love. I love and I am loved.
That's right.
In divine order.
In divine order.
I consciously condition my mind for success and prosperity. Success is the truth of me. Prosperity is the truth of me. I have nothing to do with failure.
Nothing.
I have nothing to do with poverty. Lack and limitation are no part of me. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Success is the truth of me. Prosperity is the truth of me. I am the one that the Bible speaks about when it says, whatsoever he does, it shall prosper. Money is the truth of me. Money is my getting power. Money is the getting power of my self-awareness. And whatever I am conscious of having, I draw this good unto me. Therefore, I see and feel myself having money. I see and feel myself having more money than I have ever had in my life. I see and feel myself having so much money that I have to find new things to do with it. This is exciting. I am fascinated by money. I am fascinated with wealth. I am fascinated with success. I am fascinated with prosperity. I am fascinated with love. I am fascinated with health and happiness. And I draw this good into my life more and more. I enjoy money. I see myself enjoying more money more than ever. I see myself enjoying money in new ways. I see myself traveling to new places, buying new clothes, buying everything new that I desire. I am excited about having money. It is a wonderful feeling to have money, to do the good that I desire. I'm excited about having money. Money is my servant, my willing servant. I do not serve money. Money serves me.
All right,
I do not serve any of these things, but all things serve me. Now, money, you're welcome. Keep on pouring in. And I see money. And I feel money. Pouring in. I see money. And I feel money. Pouring in. Money-making ideas keep unfolding in my mind. I see myself with extra money, surplus money, and money-making money. 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 Money making money. Money making money. And I'm fascinated by money. Thank you, God, in me. And now I bless you with the blessings of health, happiness, love, success, and prosperity. Good evening.
I am blessed to make money, money making money, money making money, money making money, money making money, manifest, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. I ain't stressed, making money, money making money, money making money, money making money. Gratitude is my attitude. I'm making money moves. Jewelry in the safe, piggy bank on full. And I'm living life abundant. I'm making money fast. I'm a money making magnet, making cold hard cash. I'm making money. Oh, I am blessed.
Okay.
Okay.
And I played the whole thing. I had to play the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
I know it was long, but I had to go ahead and do that. I'm sorry.
Look, this is your platform. It's your show.
In a time like this where we got like Donald Trump and everybody, all this other, I wanted to give somebody, go ahead, y'all, and it's Reverend Ike and this
yeah, my brother, what's going on, Mason?
Yes,
yeah. That's it.
Hey, Shelvin Mason, what's up? Did anybody want to say anything?
No, I'm just going to say it's been a pleasure being on. Hope we've said something that will awaken the inner mind to do more research and move forward to a higher height and deeper depth of understanding. I appreciate you, and may the ancestors in their benevolence keep a watchful eye on you. And to anyone else out there, y'all appreciate a show like this. let's send a little something to help the sister stay able to stay on with a little financial help. You know, a little financial help goes a long ways. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
please,
let's do
please
something.
send a couple dollars my way, because I, you know, this is not just I'm just
I
doing
know,
this out of
honey.
love, but you know, like for real, like I need like some
Some things.
donations, y'all. Keep this
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Shelvin, you had something to say?
No, I joined the show late, so I don't have anything to say. But
Okay, well, I hope you go on to DJ Genesis Detroit if you haven't seen the whole show. If you go on YouTube, you'll be able to see the whole thing. This is a beautiful show, and I really enjoyed it. You know, thank you. I wish our brother was here, Ogun Baby, but you know he started having some technical difficulties. But man, this was a beautiful show, and I really appreciate it. First of all, before we leave here, what is your number? Anyone that wants to talk to Baba, what's your number?
318-341-2160. And you can give me a call and we can discuss pros and cons of things. And we'd love to. Yeah, 318-341-2160 is my number. Yeah. And thank you, my sister. Modu pay my sister.
318-341-2160.
Yeah.
For sure. So y'all, please, if you ever want to talk to Baba about anything, get some guidance. Listen, our elders are important to us. We need to be, you know, let our elders talk to us. You know what I'm saying? So please make sure you give him a call if you guys want to know something. He has so many books back there. If you just want to know what book you need to get, you know what I'm saying? What book can I get about this? How can I learn about that? He has over 1,500 books in his library. Baba Yashabiyah has so much knowledge that he has been trying to give. And I feel sorry that I didn't like make sure that I gave your number in all the other lives, but I need to like go back and like make sure I put that in there. But man, this has been awesome. Shouts out. Much love to the chat. Please subscribe and like the video, y'all.
Right, yeah, please do, please do. I enjoyed the brother you brought on, the what was his name? That did the history breakdown. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed everybody. The other night, I enjoyed the brother that did the astrotheology. Everybody bringing peace and bits to the table. We all can eat off this smorgasbord and build our spiritual awareness. I'm gonna get out of here and go in here and get ready for the night. But you need me, sis. You know, you reach out to me and we're here for you. We just sent you a little something to help you along the way. All right.
Thank you so much. Much love. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Much love, everyone, and peace out.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy. My friend, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.